Broadcasting from International Fight Week 2023 in Las Vegas. This is Extra Rounds. Extra Rounds. This is a UFC Fight Pass special report. Live from the red carpet at the UFC Hall of Fame ceremony. Here is TJ DeSantis. It is International Fight Week in Las Vegas, and we are once again at the red carpet for the UFC Hall of Fame inside T-Mobile Arena. This is Extra Rounds. Hey everybody, I'm TJ DeSantis along with Vanessa Demopoulos, the little monster. It is my favorite week of the year, Vanessa. It is International Fight Week, and we were just talking. This is actually an anniversary of sorts. You've been on Extra Rounds now for exactly 1 year, and man, I couldn't think of a better person to have sitting next to me on the fringe of the red carpet, if you will.
I mean, this is incredible. You know, we get to see the red carpet. It's directly in front of us. We're here at the T-Mobile Arena, UFC 290 coming to us. What an incredible event this is. You know, everybody's all dressed up, looking fancy. We have GSP right here on the red carpet in front of us. Like, what a dream come true. This is crazy. We're gonna
hopefully talk to some of the luminaries, but, you know, just the red carpet idea is something that was so foreign to the concept of mixed martial arts 15, 20 years ago. I mean, this is a sport that really had to battle for legitimacy. And when I think of, you know, red carpets, I think of Hollywood. I think of glitz and glamour and, you know, the entertainment business. And this is truly something that I believe mixed martial arts deserves. And to see these athletes get treated like true A-list celebrities, and I mean, George St. Pierre is an A-list celebrity.
Yes, he absolutely is.
But to see the whole sport get put up on a pedestal and have this week here in the middle of summer each and every year in Las Vegas is pretty special.
Yeah, and I mean, we have other A-list celebrities getting inducted tonight, like Anderson Silva himself, you know, who has also appeared in movies and just been so pinnacle to becoming a household name, as well as one of the most dominant champions to have ever reigned in the UFC. This night is going to be amazing to see him inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. I feel like Anderson Silva is long overdue.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's kind of crazy because we've, you know, held Anderson as one of these GOATs for so long that you just sort of think that he's already in the Hall of Fame.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he gets that privilege tonight here in Las Vegas. You know, we were talking about George St. Pierre. It's interesting. We're celebrating a lot of careers, but this is the same day that we found out that George St. Pierre is actually going to get on a mat again soon. It's going to be in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The UFC Fight Pass Invitational just went down last week here in Las Vegas, and it sounds like in December, GSP is FPI bound.
That is crazy news because not only is GSP coming back, not only is he coming back to Jiu-Jitsu, but he's coming back to Fight Pass, to the #1 platform, Fight Pass Invitational, and we get a chance to host him right here in our own backyard, in our own hometown, and he gets to fight on this very platform that we have here.
Yeah, I'm very curious on who he's going to be fighting. Right now it's GSP versus TBD. But I don't know who TBD is going to be.
I feel like there's so many amazing potential names that it could be.
Well, I mean, Anderson Silva is here. I'm just saying.
Anderson Silva is here.
Could you imagine? I mean, that's the fight that everybody wanted for so long. It would be 2 UFC Hall of Famers. I mean, again, I'm not saying anything. I have no idea, but I just like throwing things at the wall and see what sticks.
I mean, I feel like we have some potential Hall of Famers coming up here on the card this weekend, too, that, you know, newcomer versus the old comers and kind of seeing who wins there. You know, does experience win or does somebody who's on the mat still currently win? Like, yeah. That'd be fun to watch.
Absolutely. I mean, Robbie Lawler is fighting this week. He's a former UFC welterweight champion. When I think about, you know, what GSP last did inside the octagon, he beat Michael Bisping right around that same time when GSP became the middleweight king. Robert Whittaker was a guy that people were saying, okay, GSP's got to fight him. Maybe Whittaker on the FPI mat against GSP.
Maybe. I would personally love to see that. That would be amazing.
I mean, I would personally love to see him fight a grappling dummy, to be honest with you. But against a real-life human being with some clout, man, GSP coming back for one more run. Even though it is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like, this is the thing. If you're not a mixed martial arts fan and you're, you know, not on the bandwagon of submission grappling, first off, what are you doing? Get on the bandwagon. But I think a guy like George St. Pierre brings that MMA casual to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the FPI stage and makes them, you know, casual fans into hardcore fans.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about grappling as a whole, the #1 most exciting part about it is the submissions. So you have something like FPI that brings submission grappling to us on a huge platform with the big name stars. I mean, there could not be a better grappling event to tune into, and especially especially now that we're going to have GSP.
Yeah, we're going to see what's going on with George St. Pierre a little bit later as he's walking the red carpet right now here in Las Vegas. It is Hall of Fame night here. International Fight Week going down. We haven't even talked about UFC 290, which is taking place in this building in a couple of days. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Yair Rodriguez for the featherweight championship. Flyweights will battle when we see Alexandre Pantoja take on Brandon Moreno, who's the champion and defending. Like, this is a stack card for so many reasons, but you have to bring that type of card to International Fight Week, and I can't say enough good things about the UFC 290 card, and I can't say enough good things about really what's going on in Las Vegas. We haven't even talked about UFC X, which is going on tomorrow.
Are you kidding me? UFC X, one of the biggest events of the entire year, where you can have everybody there in the stadium. Do you have any idea how many UFC fighters are on this card? Like, I'm one of them, by the way, so we can do meet and greet, sign some autographs, but there are so many UFC fighters that they're bringing to us to be able to do meet and greets, autograph signings, taking pictures. You're going to be seeing them just walking around casually, just like any other person, and just yoke them up and take a picture with them. Don't jump in their arms. I kind of am just saying that to myself.
Practice what you preach,
just saying
lady.
that to myself.
My goodness. I mean, I wonder how many people are going to be like, can I hold you, Vanessa Demopoulos?
You know, that actually does happen very
I would
often.
imagine, yeah.
Yes.
But how many people go, will you hold me, Vanessa Demopoulos?
Actually, Lance Palmer jumped into my arms the other day, so I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, thank you for the trust.
Isn't his nickname The Party? I think.
More than likely. I mean, it sounds correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very on brand for him.
All right.
Yeah.
You know, why not? Why not? I mean, just if you're a big guy like me, don't go jumping into Strawweight's arms.
Please don't do it. I mean, I'm strong, but
right,
you're really testing the waters.
I wasn't knocking you. I was knocking the confidence of big guys like me. But no, let's talk a little bit more about what we got going on here, because we haven't even gone down the list of athletes that are getting inducted into this UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, we've got fan favorites. And again, this guy, not in the Hall of Fame yet, technically a couple hours away, maybe not even, until he makes that induction. But this is another guy that I always think, yeah, of course he's a Hall of Famer. I'm talking about one of the greatest, if not the greatest, featherweight of all time. Jose Aldo will be inducted coming up this evening. I mean, Aldo's another guy that's like on, GOAT fringe discussion. Definitely top 5, I think.
Yeah, it's so hard when you want to talk about the GOAT status, because Jose Aldo is absolutely up there in those rankings. I feel like when we talk about the GOATs, we have to say them plurally, because we can go back and forth in discussions all day. I mean, he was one of the most dominant featherweights to ever be champion. He was a champion in WEC. He came over to the UFC, started dominating things, and then he's probably one of the only people that we could ever speak about that once he went down a weight class, he was still successful. Most people end up going up a weight class, but he came down a weight class and became much more of a pure style boxer. So it was incredible to watch his entire career, and I'm so grateful that we get to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame tonight.
We will get to see that here in just a few short minutes, hours. I don't know. We're cruising along here at International Fight Week. Jose Aldo's going to get that spotlight. Now, a man who is not afraid to shine in the spotlight, kind enough to join us here on the fringe of the red carpet. This man needs no introduction, a UFC Hall of Famer in his own right. Don the Predator Fry. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Keep your hands to yourself this time, sweetheart. Right? Mauled me the last time. Nasty.
Don, oh my goodness.
You're a UFC Hall of Famer. We get to celebrate all these years of the UFC. It's the 30th anniversary of the UFC. You fought in the dark ages, man, where it seemed like the UFC was almost this best kept secret among the hardcores. What's it like to see the red carpet and be a part of a week where we not only get to a great card like UFC 290 on Saturday, but turn back the clock and the spotlight on the generations of yesteryear?
It's interesting, I'll tell you that, Put this thing up there where you can hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Hell, I mean, back then you would fight and you'd go, you can go to the hospital, or you go to the after party,
right?
Or you can go to both, or you can go to jail. We never know if we were going to go to jail at the end of the night.
Why was jail an option?
Because it was illegal.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, they were trying to shut it down.
Oh,
and
wow.
if they could have slapped us in handcuffs, then it would have would have been shining on their light, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, they almost had like a secret knock to get in the door at the old UFC.
Yeah, they pulled some
Password.
shady stuff on us, you know.
I mean, it's crazy to think that the dark days, you know, of mixed martial arts to what it is today. Like, it feels like it's not even right to call it the same sort of sport. It was the spectacle. It turned into a sport. But you are a guy that I think that really fought in both generations. You fought in the early days of the UFC. You went and fought in the Kakatogi Boom and Pride Fighting Championships. And what was it like to sort of be involved with MMA at its, you know, highest of highs while it was constantly evolving?
It was fun. You know, I started when it was NHB.
Right.
No holds barred. And, you know, it went from a fight to a sport to a TV show, you know. And that's where we're at now. And it's just, what's going on now is just, you never would have guessed anything like this would happen. I mean, you got highly educated fighters who are just beautiful women, you know, that fight, and educated. And you never would have thought anything like this would happen.
Yeah, I mean, also, too, just the personalities that come out of this. Like, George St. Pierre's here tonight. He was in a Marvel movie. He was in the Winter Soldier, I believe, in Captain America. And, like, you know, Donald Cerrone is making that move into the acting business. I mean, I remember watching you in Public Enemies. I mean, you're a fine star of the silver screen as well.
I got lucky with Michael Mann. He put me in a couple movies, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I think for the longest time, people were pretty hesitant to embrace mixed martial artists as potential mainstream stars. Well, you know, we talk a little bit about Donald Cerrone. What are your thoughts on the man they call Cowboy? I got to ask a man in a cowboy hat what he thinks about Donald Cowboy Cerrone.
I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, I mean, he's always given us a good fight, win or lose. You know, you know that it's not going to be a boring fight.
Yeah, I mean, say that in not a boring fight. 75% was his finishing rate throughout his career. And a guy that was known for phenomenal fights on the feet, 10 knockouts, but also 17 submissions. He was one of the more well-rounded athletes of his time. And when you go back and look at his run, you know, a lot of shine was given to him in the UFC, but he goes back to the early days of the WEC. You know, he was on the Tap Out show. Like, he was a guy that I think, you know, really got into mixed martial arts for the love of the game, and I think that is something that all of these athletes really do at the beginning. Yes, you might find yourself on a red carpet or in the UFC Hall of Fame or, you know, in movies, but you have to have a love for the game of fighting. And you look at a guy like Donald Cerrone, you look at a guy like Don Fry, you know these guys love to fight, and I think that is something you can't teach that. It's either in you or not in you.
Right, and it's a competition factor too. I mean, you get a lot of people that out there say, "Oh, I could have done this, I could have done that." Nah, if you wanted to, you'd have done it.
Right.
That's right.
I mean, you get off your ass and get off the couch, and you got in the gym and trained, and then you would have got in the cage or the ring. Just for the competition factor, it'll get your ass off the couch.
Right.
You know, and get those potato chips out of your pocket. You know, and you know, there's nothing like knocking somebody out or submitting them, is it?
No, there's not. And Cowboy Cerrone definitely showed that. He had the mentality of have fists, will fight. Yeah. Like, I think he finished 2 guys in the same 15-day period, and that's exactly why he's getting inducted tonight. And it's reasons like that we got to see people like you shine. You're like, you know what? I'm showing up to the party. I love to fight. I love this. I don't care if you're paying me or not. I'd be fighting if nobody was watching, and here I am today.
I mean, no offense to Donald Cerrone fighting 2 guys in 15 days. I mean, how many guys do you fight in one night, Don?
We'd fight 3 times a night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, we're talking about GSP coming back to the UFC Fight Pass Invitational. We got some exciting news as well. Don Fry, he's back in his own way. Brand new show coming up here on UFC Fight Pass, Tea and Whiskey with Caroline Pierce. Like, we're getting the microphone back in your face. You're talking all the things mixed martial arts, past, present, and future, and you're mixing it up with us here on Fight Pass.
Yeah, we're having a lot of fun. You know, thanks for having me. It was great to be part of the Fight Pass family, you know, and always good to look at you. Jeez, that don't get you cleaned up, you know. We're looking forward to go to work, nothing.
Right, exactly.
You're making me blush over here.
Man, I tell you, you just jump out of bed and take a shower, you know, just come over here, you know, sit next to her. Wow, I'm lucky.
Well, there you go.
Welcome to Fight Pass. I'm glad to have you here too.
Tea and whiskey headed your way. Going to be broadcasting live on location at UFC X. So make sure if you are in Las Vegas for International Fight Week, you come out, say hi to the Predator, Don Fry, and Caroline Pearson, all of our wonderful hosts over at Podcast Central at UFC X. Don, appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, TJ. Thanks.
There he is. Thank you, sir.
Always
Man.
good to see you.
He will break your hand when he shakes your hand. My goodness.
Woo!
There he is, Don Fry, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds. We're playing musical chairs. I am not very agile, Vanessa Demopoulos. I will trip over my own 2 feet if given the opportunity. And Don Fry's got some big feet. He's got some big hands, too.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't trip on the way over here. It's okay. We made it. We're alive. We got this.
You know, I'm curious. When you fight, do your hands, change? Do they get bigger? Do they get calloused? Because, look at those. Those are big hands.
Are they?
I mean, they're like the size of mine and you're a straw weight.
I was going to say, they're big in comparison to my size.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Do you feel
and
like
my knuckles are sharp.
Yeah.
There's times where I do that and I actually hurt my own hand doing that, and I have to be oh, don't be so aggressive. I have to remind myself to not be so aggressive all the time.
Yes, I think I have to remind you not to be so aggressive all the time.
I growl less.
I know, but I like a good growl every once in a while. When it's International Fight Week in Las Vegas, a growl might be what's needed. Yeah.
Yes, it does feel good to growl.
All right, we're talking about hands. Another man getting inducted tonight had one of the best left hands in mixed martial arts history. We're talking about Little Evil Jens Pulver, a guy that was really a pioneer when it came out of the Militich fighting system camps. Sort of a hero for the smaller guys. I mean, this was a guy that really couldn't fight in the UFC at 155 pounds, let alone weight classes like Vanessa Demopoulos fights in at 115 pounds. I'm excited to see a guy like Jens Pulver get the nod, be put in the Hall of Fame. A lot of people wondered whether or not Jens would get this call. He is. And again, we talk about Don Fry, he's the old school. Jens Pulver is sort of a generation once removed from the old school, sort of the middle tier to what we have today as modern mixed martial arts. And I think it's important to, shine that spotlight on all generations and just celebrate the game.
Absolutely. Jens Pulver is somebody who, he was the very first lightweight champion of the UFC. He came in, he stormed the troops. Before Jens Pulver, everybody really only knew the bigger guys, so he started to make a name for the smaller guys. He made fighting exciting. He made it something that you wanted to watch the little guys go out there. And to be honest, he was very small for a lightweight division fighter. And then at one point, the UFC actually the lightweight division. He ended up fighting in other organizations. He's fought with everybody and then came back to the UFC and continued to dominate. And it's just incredible to be able to watch him and to be able to call him a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it's sort of intriguing to me if I think about, where Jens started his career and finished. He went to 135 eventually, but it was at the very end of his career. I wonder what Jens Pulver would look like at 135 in his prime, because there were no opportunities as a bantamweight in the United States, or really in the sport as a whole. You could go over to Japan and find some fights in Shudo and things like that, but fighting in the States in the early 2000s at 135 pounds, not happening.
No, it wasn't an option. For some reason, people didn't find the smaller guys exciting until Jens Pulver, which is exactly why we get to talk to him tonight. I'm not sure if we're going to be talking to him tonight, but why we get to watch him tonight to make it over to the Hall of Fame, because he was that guy to make fighting exciting for smaller individuals, which is the reason why today we have bantam or flyweights,
right,
which we will have at UFC 290.
Absolutely. The flyweight champ is defending his title, Brandon Moreno. Actually, I wanted to ask Jens if we get a chance to talk to him, because you say that there weren't a lot of interest or intrigue in the smaller weight fighters, which, yes, I agree with that, but I don't even know if there were athletes at 135 pounds that had any idea that mixed martial arts was even an opportunity for them.
Even an opportunity. I don't know how Jens's outlook was, but I know that when I first started fighting, there were 0 female fighters in the UFC. There wasn't anything for me to look forward to. I just really loved the sport, and I really loved fighting, and I loved being active and getting in there. And once women showed up into the UFC, it was still only the bantamweights. bantamweights. It was still only the Ronda Rouseys,
right?
And the Liz Carmouches way back then. Remember that? Yeah, and it was still like I was just hoping that one day I would get an opportunity to be able to be here on the UFC stage. So, but those were dreams that weren't able to be dreams at one point, that became them because people paved the way. And Jens Pulver is one of those people that really, truly paved the way for not only himself, not only the lightweights, but the featherweights, the bantamweights, and the flyweights. Jens Pulver's the man.
Yeah, I mean, now we're talking about strawweights like yourself. I mean, there's atom weights that are out there. I was thinking about this, like in the early 2000s when Jens was coming up. I was a mixed martial arts fan, running around all sorts of barns and fairgrounds in the Midwest trying to find mixed martial arts fights to go to. And there was one weight class for women. It was women. There's just, you're a lady, you want to fight? Okay.
Yep.
We'll find you another lady to fight.
Yep.
But, I mean, 15, 25, 30, no. That was just no. Come on. Do you train? It doesn't matter. It's just, we need an opponent.
It was very unheard of. It was very unheard of once upon a time to have any weight classes for females, and I've gotten to experience that from the jiu-jitsu perspective, not from the MMA perspective. But they're slowly starting to open up more weight classes, and it's exciting to see women competing in all levels, UFC and jiu-jitsu, like the Fight Pass Invitational that we have, where we always have some sort of women matches happening, especially on the feature bouts.
Yeah, 100%. We are Extra Rounds. I'm TJ DeSantis. That's Vanessa Demopoulos, the little monster, hanging out here at the red carpet inside T-Mobile Arena. It is International Fight Week in Las Vegas. Of course, the red carpet going down tonight for the Hall of Fame ceremony, which is exclusively available for you over on UFC Fight Pass. So go sign up today, step into our world. Also, over on UFC Fight Pass, you're going to get all of the content that we are bringing you from UFC X this weekend here at IFW. 2 full days of broadcasting and programming available for you from this one-of-a-kind event. I was talking with our team this week, and it's funny because the acronym IFW, something that we always look forward to, International Fight Week, but it does feel like that sort of extra special week out of school when you're a kid. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like, oh yeah, this is that week where I don't have to do anything, I just hang out and have fun.
Yeah, no, this is the week that, we look forward to, right? Like, we've been talking about this for about 2 months now. Like, oh my goodness, like, International Fight Week's coming up, International Fight Week's coming up. I think at the beginning of the week, I messaged you guys, like, it's here! Like, so excited. This is like a kid unwrapping presents for Christmas. Like, we get to see all of the stars of the UFC being here, and everybody just walking around, having fun, smiling, signing autographs, just being so available to us, to you guys as a fans. Here live in person to be able to see everybody, and then also to be able to make this fun content for all of you guys to be able to watch again on UFC Fight Pass.
No, exactly right. It's always a good time to visit Las Vegas. Like you said, we're at the Hall of Fame tonight, but it gives way to UFC X tomorrow. And then, of course, coming up on Saturday night, UFC 290, headlined by a featherweight championship fight. Alexander Volkanovski, the undisputed champion. I hate to say that because he is disputed. He's taken on the interim champ in Yair Rodriguez. Volkanovski coming off a loss. He hasn't had too many of those in his career. He moved up to 155 pounds to take on Islam Makhachev. He is back at 45 to settle the score against Yair Rodriguez. Have you seen Yair Rodriguez's custom belt this week?
I love that belt.
Yeah,
I think it's amazing.
Awesome?
Yeah. I was listening to an interview that he did about his custom-made belt, and it was about the artists that came from Mexico that made it by hand, dot by dot, and I love that. I love that he's being so unique, and it is an interim belt, so he is having fun with this belt and being able to show it off and exhibit it and do something different with it than all of the other standard champions. And I'll be interested to see if this is a one-off or if this is something that if Yair does become the featherweight champion, does he do something different with his belt?
I mean, I like the idea of showing, the character. I've seen some people online actually saying, like, I would like more of this of the champions to go out there and, custom make their belt up, because why not? Go out there and like for Yair, he's able to, show off his heritage and again, like, this guy is so exciting in what he does inside the octagon. Like, it's almost natural that he be as exciting just by carrying his belt. You know what I mean?
I love that so much, and you're so correct. Like, he is one of the more exciting fighters to watch. We love watching Yuri, and that's why this fight particularly is the main event of UFC 290 on International Fight Week, which is one of the biggest cards of the entire year. Volkanovski has been such a dominant champion in the featherweight division thus far, and he's a very, very big featherweight too. And it's fun to see him be challenged by somebody as dynamic and exciting as Yair.
Let's take a look at some of the stats for Alexander Volkanovski. 25-2 on his MMA campaign, a finishing rate of 60%, 12 knockouts to 3 submissions. He's been in the UFC for a while, going back to November 26th of 2016. He enters his 5th title defense here at 145 pounds. Standing his opposite, Yair Rodriguez El Pantera, 15-3 on his MMA campaign, matching finishing rate at 60%, 5 knockouts to 4 submissions. He's only been stopped once in the UFC, and we are in store for a pretty darn good fight. Let's take a look at the odds, courtesy of our friends over at DraftKings. Minus 380 is the favorite in champion Volkanovski. The comeback on Yair Rodriguez, plus 290. That is interesting. I think that Yair Rodriguez, just with his exciting, well-rounded style, seeing him at almost a 3-1 underdog, I mean, it seems a little bit shocking, but then it doesn't seem all that shocking when you look at who he's standing in front of. But Yair Rodriguez, I do believe, is going to have to be really, diverse with his tactics. He can't just stand in front of Volkanovski and get too aggressive and too flashy. If he throws things like that elbow that he threw against the Korean Zombie, I mean, that opens up takedown opportunities for Volkanovski. But, again, Rodriguez, has highlight reel knockouts, but he has almost as many submissions for every knockout. So I'm not saying that he's going to be able to play a guard game underneath Volkanovski and throw up a Hail Mary, but you also can't sleep on it either. I mean, he's well-rounded.
You absolutely can't sleep on it. I mean, look at what Brian Ortega almost did to Volkanovski. So I feel like if Yair wanted to maybe play that approach, he's like, ooh, okay, there's a little bit of a gap in this area. Yeah. But we also know that that's probably something Volkanovski also recognized and tried to fill the void in. We've seen him doing a lot of takedowns. So I wonder what his takedown defense is going to be, which is more than likely incredible. I mean, we saw him against Islam, which I think he almost was close to winning that fight. He had a lot of really amazing moments, even going up in a weight division against one of the best wrestlers that we've seen in the UFC. And I just it's hard to bet against Volkanovski, but also Yair is so awesome to watch. That match against his featherweight match against previous champion Holloway was one of the most exciting matches anybody could ever see. And the sportsmanship amongst the two of them, we've seen him close the gaps. He's been in the UFC a long time. It's going to be amazing to see him compete for the championship belt. It's going to be even more amazing to see him potentially win. When
I look at Volkanovski, he is coming off a loss, but like they say, you either win or you learn. I'm curious, do you feel like the loss to Makhachev for Volk is a learning experience? Will he come out the better for having that fight?
I don't feel like... Yes, I feel like he'll come out the better, but I don't feel like it's affected him whatsoever, because to him, that was a win-win situation. He, went up in a weight division. He had an amazing bout, and he got to really show off that he is of caliber to not only be the champion in his own division, but potentially in another division on another day.
We got more guests coming your way here on the fringe of the red carpet. Again, TJ DeSantis, Vanessa Demopoulos. I'm moving. Welcoming in 2 of the funniest guys you're going to find on UFC Fight Pass. You know them as the Sklar's.
What's happening? Hello.
How are
Good to see you?
Coming in the middle. How are you guys doing?
We're
What's
good.
happening?
Fabulous.
We're
How
all
are you?
sharp. You guys look great.
You guys look fantastic.
It's Hall
Let's
of
go.
Fame. We can't wear your down clothes for the Hall
Right.
of Fame.
I mean, there's a red carpet.
You and I are in
so.
the same damn
It's
Exactly.
a GD red carpet.
Yeah, I
Let's
mean, this
go.
who do we expect to see at this red carpet?
We saw Don Fry.
We saw Don Fry, and
I mean,
that's
who
all
else
I
do you
to see.
need, really, when you see
mean,
Don
I
Fry?
thought he was going to pummel our faces. It was phenomenal. We brought up Fry Takayama. I mean,
One
that
of the greatest striking fights in the history.
we
of the
covered
game.
that fight for. We did that for an episode of the Nosebleeds, and I mean, there's the moment where they're standing toe to toe and just pummeling each other. We're like, this is like when two people who don't know how to use a video game controller pick it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's
And
a button masher. Yeah.
It's
In
just
a
smash,
different
smash,
way. Yeah.
smash. It's great.
I love that so much. I love that so much. When I play video games, by the way, that's me. I'm the button masher.
Yeah,
Just
smash
on their way.
pound it.
He's doing the same thing over and over.
It's going to be an amazing night tonight. I mean, got some great people going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Cowboy, come on, never won a belt,
Right.
But one of those guys. Jay and I were trying to think in other equivalent in other sports. Barkley never won a ring. In the Hall of Fame.
But like undeniable.
no
Like I
one
don't
is
think
like-
anyone was like
There's
that's
no
a
controversy.
weird choice, right?
Right.
No, I don't think so. I mean, you shouldn't. I look at all the things that Donald Cerrone has done. He's a household name for somebody who's never been a champion. I mean, he's one of the most exciting fighters that we've ever gotten to see, and he's never said no.
Yeah.
He's always showed up
Always
and
takes
showed
the
up
fight.
in style. Like
Yeah,
that man was
yeah.
down to fight every time.
So a
anytime-
personality too. Like we talk about UFC and what's built this brand are all the personalities, the people that like, the common fan connects
John
with the most.
Fry again. If like a Buick LeSabre became a person,
Don Fry.
You know what I mean? He's gonna ram it right into you. So
Goodness.
just a legend and amazing guy. But again, you're seeing all these people. I mean, Jose Aldo.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he came to fight, it was a spectacle and it was a fight. He brought it every single time. I mean, it's got to be an amazing night for these guys. Just to make it into the UFC and compete, that's one thing. We understand that. Just to make it in this business is one thing. To then get the accolades of being a Hall of Famer, it's just another level.
Well, I look at this class too, and like, don't get me wrong. Every Hall of Fame class, they're Hall of Famers. They're
Sure.
going to be badasses.
Obviously.
But this might be the Hall of Fame class that I want. backing me in a street fight. Like
Thank
this is
you.
the crew I hang out with. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, they're not saying about the guys who made it into the Golf Hall of Fame.
No.
Right.
Unless it's Tiger Woods' wife and she's got a 9-iron. I don't want to
Listen.
right? No, all right. So now we're sitting here right now. I hate the too early predictions of next year, but like
Who gets in next year?
I want to nail you guys to it. Who goes?
And we're
in
not
next year?
pushing anyone into retirement,
but
Well, and that's the craziest part that I was going to bring up. Look at Jose Aldo. He's still being competitive. I think he's only 36 years old, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, or 38. I think he's 38 years old.
He's not
and
even 40.
he's being inducted. He's still actively competing. Like
Yeah.
He's
this is-
boxing now, and like
Yeah.
another fold. Like you're already one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. So
Yeah.
now you get to go out there and prove yourself in boxing. Like
if anybody can, you feel like these guys have the discipline. The men and women have the discipline to handle. Jay and I were just at, and that you did a fantastic job calling
The Fight Pass Invitational 4.
And the skill.
Wow, that was really
Thank you.
that
I
was
know,
nice
sorry.
right there.
Yeah, we were
That's
there.
good.
We were in the nosebleeds.
Weird. We were up in the nosebleeds, which was the fourth row.
Right.
At the apex.
At the apex. But the skill it takes, just the technical nature of that. We were sitting next to a guy.
And also, no octagon. So every time they came over towards you guys, there was a moment where you
We're
guys were
like,
like,
computers,
"Whoa."
computers,
man.
computers.
I learned how slow my reaction skills are.
You guys were all terrible.
Yeah, she was up like 10 feet away, and you were still at the table.
Yeah.
You had good
I
reaction
almost got
time.
squished so many times
I know.
that night.
Yeah, well, it was amazing, and again, the technical nature of that. You look at guys who can handle that, and the men and women that can do that. You say to yourself, why can't they learn how to box? Why can't they apply those same skills? I mean, there is striking in UFC, but that's just a part of it. If they go into that, to me, I feel like it's a logical progression.
We're playing or paying homage to the generations of mixed martial artists and looking back at the history. You guys have some history. One of my favorite shows ever on ESPN Classics was Cheap Seats.
Thank you.
You looked at all sorts of different sports and spectacles. Did you ever look at the UFC? Not necessarily for the show, but back then, was it on your guys' radar?
It was.
It was. What was funnier for us and what seemed to be more ripe for comedy right on the surface was old wrestling, like regional wrestling. And so we gravitated towards that stuff. But when we started doing the nosebleeds for Fight Pass, what we realized was that the early UFC,
when they were trying to figure it out.
94, when you had a sumo wrestler against a savate like fighter, you had guys, it was almost like, can this discipline beat this discipline?
Yes.
In the early days. And also just no one knew how to come to the ring, and like guy comes with a weird guy with him and no entourage. And for us, those moments are what are ripe for us having fun and making jokes. And also in a sense, like, we're celebrating how far the UFC has come.
Yeah.
Yes.
You think about it like, we describe it like this. Like, if you look at a yearbook picture of yourself from back when you were in high school.
Senior year of high school, you're like,
Which
why?
for you might have been only a couple years
Honestly,
ago.
that's the first thought that came to mind when you said that. I was like, oh my gosh,
Right?
I would never
You
want
would
to
look
look
at,
at
but you
that
know who
picture.
you are. You know where you came. We know what we became. But back in high school, we made some weird choices.
You could make a lot
So
of
for
fun of your senior
us
year
to have
picture.
fun with those choices. That's what we love.
Yeah, I had pink hair in high school.
You had
so-
pink hair?
Yeah.
You
Let's
had
go.
hair in high school?
Believe it or not, yeah. I mean, that's why it left me. It was
God
pink.
bless
Yeah.
it. Yeah, you
It had to
dyed,
go.
you dyed it too much.
I had
Yeah.
a crazy amount of piercings and dreadlocks.
Wow.
Really?
Dreadlocks.
Dreads.
Get her out of here. You know,
my God.
that you should
Do
never
you want a
admit
hacky
that.
sack?
I did used
Are
to
you gonna-
hacky sack. I was
Of
a
course
skater
you did.
chick. I
You were
used
a
to
skater
skateboard.
chick, like gigantic Jinko jeans. Like,
Listen,
thank
there's a
you.
reason why I fight in a cage right now.
Right,
okay?
exactly. You
So-
got to win back that
It
respect.
went from kick flips
It
to
went-
kicks.
Oh, I like that. I like
He
that.
knows. He knows. He knows skating.
We
I have a
are-
skater son.
We are who you thought we were.
I
That's
love
it.
you, and gloriously so.
Thank the Lord.
I mean, I love this show. I love what you guys do, and actually, for us, what we've loved is sort of becoming a part of the UFC family, which is really cool. So we're getting out to some of these events and doing social media stuff. Just super cool to see all you guys here and get a chance to do it.
I'm not going to lie, mixed martial arts is my passion. I fell in love with the sport 20
Yeah.
years ago, long before it was ever on TV,
Yeah.
and I was very defensive of it. When I love cheap seats. I told you guys that. Like, I
Thank you.
truly love cheap seats. When I heard that the Nosebleeds was coming to UFC Fight Pass, I was a little bit scared. I was
Sure.
like, you're going to take this brand of comedy that I love and then turn it inward on the sport that I'm very defensive of. I didn't know what it was going to be like. And then I watched about 30 seconds of episode 1.
You're like, I'm
I
in.
saw Gerard Gordeau make the walk, and I
Oh,
was
yes.
like, these guys are doing exactly what they need to be doing.
Again, I think there is, and with roasting, because we're comedians and you have done the roast battle with each other, there has to be a certain amount of love.
Yeah.
If it's,
So you do it with love. And the other thing is, for so long, like you said, UFC was fighting for legitimacy among the sports that were out there. It was saying, hey, we're standing toe-to-toe. We're just as legit as boxing, if not more. We're all these other things. And they were fighting for their place at the table. Well, once it became clear that this is like the leader in all combat sports, you didn't have to fight for that anymore. Then you can take a moment and you can roast
Make
yourself.
fun of yourself.
You can
Right.
laugh. There's
that's the
power in being able to
ultimate
laugh
flex.
at
The
yourself.
That is
ultimate
true.
flex is like, I can make a joke about myself. I'm confident enough to do that. And so I like that the UFC has gone that far, because it's never mean with us. It's always done in love, and it's a fun thing.
And there's reverence.
And I'll say this about the UFC. What I love about it is that they are not afraid to make the fights every single month, every week, you could really say, but every month, the fight that you want to see. Like, we grew up loving boxing. I mean, I remember going over to our friend Howard Opinski's house to watch Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler fight, and we all got the pay-per-view, and we watched that fight in 1988 or 89. And we were huge boxing fans, but over the years, boxing just didn't make the fights that people wanted to see. We had to wait 5 years for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. 5 years
4 years after it should have happened.
after
Right.
it should have happened. And
All
you see
the fights here happen when it's time for them to
we're
happen.
on
That's
the
right.
second and the third version in 1 year of
That's
the fight
right.
you want to see.
Yeah, Dana's incredible the way that he puts all that stuff together. It's amazing. Like, he's like, no, this is what the fans want. This is
Yeah.
what we're gonna push.
Right.
And that's my favorite part about it. He's like, oh, they like jiu-jitsu. Let's start doing Fight Pass Invitational.
Yeah.
You
love
know,
it.
like he's in it. He's a part of the sport, and I love that what you said. He's putting together the fights that
Putting
we
together the
all
ones you
want
wanna
to
see.
see.
That's
We
it.
all want to see those.
That's
right.
it.
Dana has this great quote that says, everybody's a fight fan. If you're at a baseball game and a fight breaks out, what are you
Yeah.
going to watch? The baseball game
Watch
or
the
the fight?
fight.
Well, in my world with you guys, I would like to think that if I was at a fight and a baseball game broke out at a fight,
You'd want us to just
guys would be
comment on it?
commentating.
You know we
We
would.
commentate on both.
I'm like, why are you trying to kick him in flip-flops?
Exactly.
That's not a good call. That's not a good call.
And you're still holding your hot dog? Bro,
Come on,
put it
bro.
down. You're in a fight. You're in a
We-
street fight. Put
we-
down your food.
We saw a thing recently that came across our feed of a guy who took a hot dog at a Yankees game,
Put a
straw through
through
the
the
center
hot
of it,
dog and hollowed it out.
and then drank his beer through the hot dog straw that he made. I'm like, first of all, who drinks beer with a straw? You meet someone who drinks beer with
I'm
a straw.
like, check his crawl spaces,
Serial
man.
killer.
I don't know who
Serial
that guy
killer.
is.
Then to actually just drink it out of a hot, who's like, I need this hot dog taste in my beer. Come on.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's terrible.
Yeah,
So-
that's
that's
too
not-
much.
We're there to
My brain's
comment
not
on it.
processing
No,
this.
it's a lot. It's a lot to take in.
Well, this is the insight that you get with the Nosebleed. So go check it out. Available now on UFC Fight Pass. I appreciate you guys stopping
Thanks,
by.
guys.
Thank you so
So good
much.
to see
Hey,
you. So
before
good
you
to see
go,
you.
we're taking a picture.
Yeah, let's do
Will you
it.
grab a picture of us?
Someone's going to grab a
love it.
picture.
Listen, it has to happen. It's like it's my thing.
Absolutely. All right. There we go.
Yay! Be incredible.
The Sklar is kind enough to join us here as we play musical chairs. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. We are rolling strong here inside the T-Mobile Arena for International Fight Week in Las Vegas.
Could you do me a favor and turn up my headphones just a little bit for me? Just a little bit. Just
how's that?
A little lower.
A little lower.
Right there.
Right there.
Perf.
All right.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Do what I can. Man, I'm serious. I kind of want a baseball game to break out at a fight sometime. I don't know what that would look like.
A baseball game to break out at a fight?
Yeah.
Okay,
You see what
my
I'm saying?
brain read that backwards.
Right, but that's how you're supposed to read it. That's why it's so crazy and weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would never happen.
No.
But, you know.
Yeah, they wouldn't let me throw things after I fight, so there's no way.
Well, I mean, I think if you throw things, it might lead to a fight.
Well, that's the point.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, exactly. She's Vanessa Demopoulos, Little Monster. I'm TJ DeSantis. This is Extra Rounds. International Fight Week rolls on here. We're inside T-Mobile Arena. George St. Pierre should be joining us here in just a few moments. If you haven't heard the news, George St. Pierre headed back to active competition in the form of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and no-gi grappling. Sounds like he's going to be a part of a future UFC Fight Pass Invitational. Actually, a couple of them. Coming up in September, he's going to be an analyst. And then in December, he should be taking the mat as well. And I don't even know who he's going to fight. And that's something hopefully we can get some insight to, maybe.
He has been training with Elon Musk.
I saw
recently.
that. At first, I had to double take at that photo. I was like, is this real? Is this photoshopped?
No, it's absolutely real. Yes. So Elon Musk was recently training with George St. Pierre and John Danaher, who is George St. Pierre's instructor, previously out of Renzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in New York. And we all know that George is from Canada, so that was quite an easy transition for him to go over to New York all the time, do his training camps out of there. We've seen John Danaher in a lot of his corners, so to see him training with Elon Musk, who is potentially going to be fighting against Mark Zuckerberg on maybe UFC 300. All of these are just potential talks about maybes, but it's just so crazy to see that Elon was actually training with George St. Pierre. So he's taking that pretty seriously, right?
I mean, he has
I think
to be,
so.
right?
Yeah, I think that this might actually happen.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. Never say never. There are so many things that we've seen in mixed martial arts and combat sports that I never thought would happen. I never thought Conor McGregor would actually box Floyd Mayweather. I didn't think that was going to happen.
Right, and that did happen.
Right, yeah.
We watched it happen.
Right. I mean, will billionaires fight one another? I mean, my gut says no, but my brain goes, you can't always believe what your gut says sometimes because crazy things happen in this world.
I mean, they both were already actively training in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I do know that both of them have trained stand-up arts. I think Zuckerberg has done some karate, if I'm not mistaken. Elon Musk has done some Muay Thai. We've actually seen Zuckerberg competing in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He currently has a blue belt.
Right.
And, so, I mean, he's competing against other people and who aren't billionaires. So it's not like they're, going easy on each other. This man is going out there and really laying it out on the line. So I believe that this MMA fight really could potentially happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing too about a blue belt. A lot of people look at the belt ranking system in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and they go, well, that's the first step after a white belt. Well, not really. You got to go through stripes, and depending on who gave you your blue belt, it might take you a really long time to earn that blue belt.
Yeah, so the traditional, mindset is it takes about 10 years to get a black belt. 10 years. Think about that. You could get through any college special training, have a master's degree. I don't even know. I have no idea, by the way, with colleges and how long it takes to get stuff. But, you could have a really high-level degree in a shorter amount of time than it takes to get your black belt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's about 1.5 to 2 years at white belt, about 2 to 3 years at blue belt, about 4 years at purple belt, potentially another 3 years at brown belt and your black belt. And all of those may vary, but that's a long time. So that's a lot of math, you guys. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse everybody.
You know how long I was in college?
How long?
3 weeks.
Goodness.
Guess what I got on the other side of it?
Tell me.
Nothing.
Nothing. I understand. I understand.
I was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch UFC tapes in my basement.
Yeah. I tried college twice.
Yeah?
I learned Chinese. I forgot it all.
Okay.
Yeah. tried.
I mean, you could lie to everyone that might not know you speak Greek, and then just be like, I've picked up Greek. But then they'd hear Demopoulos as your last name, and then they'd know.
Yeah, but that's like my first/second language.
Right, yeah.
First/second, because I learned it first, but it's definitely not my first language. American, like I speak English. I'm American at this point.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
You're a fight fan. You're in the right city for it.
Yeah.
It's International Fight Week here in Las Vegas. We are on the edge of the red carpet here inside T-Mobile Arena as we get ready for the UFC Hall of Fame ceremony, which is going to be live for you exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. We haven't really gone down the entire list and just listing it out for everyone, but getting inducted tonight, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, Jens Pulver. Going in the fight wing is Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald 2, which I believe actually took place during International Fight Week in 2015. So maybe that's in the air a little bit for some of the fights that might go down.
They
here
fought
on Saturday.
twice?
They did, yes.
That second fight was the one where they came and had the stare off in the middle.
Yes.
And then walked away.
Yes. And just how that's exactly the energy that was going on that night.
That was epic.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, Robbie Lawler's in a fight coming up on Saturday night against Nico Price. And anytime Robbie takes the octagon, you need to pay attention. But this one especially, it's his final fight. It's swan song inside the UFC. And I'm not going to lie, Vanessa, you're going to be sitting with me in our extra round set hanging out. You might see me shed a tear. I mean, the final time we see the Ruthless One make the walk, like...
Is he retiring after this fight?
Yeah, this is
it.
This is it.
Wow. You know, Robert Whittaker was saying some words about Robbie Lawler, and he said that when you stand across the cage from Lawler, you see a man that does not care about your life. He's like, Robbie Lawler is definitely willing to bite my ear off. He is that individual.
Yeah.
And then when they told Robbie Lawler what Whittaker had said, Lawler's like, you know what? I might gouge your eye out. Yeah, I might do that. You know what? Yeah, you're right. I might bite you.
I mean...
So he's just a violent individual. He's just a vicious guy.
He definitely flips that switch because outside of the octagon, he's one of the most sweetest sort of down-to-earth people, doesn't really talk a lot, isn't super loud, unless you talk to him about football. He's a huge San Diego Chargers guy. But Robbie's a guy that just sort of spoke with his actions, and man, he's got a lot of actions to remember inside the octagon. 29-16 on his MMA run, finishing rate of 75%, 21 knockouts to just one lone submission. UFC debut came back in May of 2002, and he's a former UFC welterweight champion as well as a middleweight king in Elite XC. Guy has been around for a minute, to say the least, and we're definitely going to see him get his moment here, get his fight inducted into the fight wing of the UFC Hall of Fame. But again, he's going to fight on Saturday. And
75% finishing rate?
Yeah.
75%. Do you guys have any idea what that even
that
sounds
means
like?
If you're going to lose to Robbie Lawler, you have a 1 in 4 opportunity to not get knocked out. That's essentially what's going to happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And that's a lot of fights.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fights and a huge finishing rate.
Yeah, absolutely. He does not mess around. And
has there ever been somebody else who was inducted and then fought in the same weekend into the UFC Hall of Fame? No.
No, I think Tito Ortiz might have been that guy.
Interesting.
Back in 2015. I'm just grabbing for straws. But, oh, man. I see one of the goats right there.
Oh, no. Hello.
There we go. Let's play some musical chairs. I'm going to move over here.
You're moving?
Welcome
Okay.
in.
Come on over here. Oh, my gosh. It's so good to see you.
See you? Good to see you. Yes.
One of the greatest to do it inside the octagon, and one of the greatest human beings outside the octagon. Former UFC welterweight and middleweight champion George St. Pierre, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds. Some exciting news today, George. You told the world that you're going to be back on the mat, competing in a future UFC Fight Pass Invitational, on the mic, doing some analyst work in September. I mean, this is exciting for all of us here at Fight Pass, and I assume it's pretty exciting for yourself to get back in the mix here and have something to look forward to as far as a competition date.
Yeah, I'm December 14. I'm coming back, and I'm very excited because when the UFC announced me that they wanted to take on the sport of professional submission wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and bring it on UFC Fight Pass Invitational, I wanted to help them promote it because I believe that the sport reaches a bigger audience in terms of practitioner than even mixed martial art. And the way I see it is my goal is to bring the sport into a huge arena, just as big as mixed martial art, and perhaps one day to the Olympic game. It was in the Olympic game a few thousand years ago in ancient Greek, and I think it could reach potentially the same level if it's well promoted.
That makes me so happy to hear that. And we know that your instructor, John Danaher, has been to all of the Fight Pass Invitationals. And, I mean, you look amazing right now. You look like you're in great shape. So we know that you've been training. I personally love seeing all of, like, your gymnastic stuff that you do. And I love hearing that you're going to get out there and you're going to do this. You're going to do this with us and for us.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I mean, there's no other better place to do it with the UFC, and I'm glad they commit to that, and I'm excited. It is very serious competition for me. I know it will affect my legacy, so I will get myself prepared as the best as I can. I have the chance to train with John Danaher, Gordon Ryan, Giancarlo, who are champions in this. It's a different sport because I'm used to fight in mixed martial art, but this is a very specialized form of fighting that I will need time to adapt myself into.
Absolutely.
And I have no illusion. I'm 42 years old, and I used to fight in MMA because I wanted to be the strongest man in the world. Now I'm doing this, for the, I want to compete. I want to do well, but I know I probably passed my physical prime, but it's always fun to train when you have a competition.
I would absolutely say that you are still in peak physical form.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in great shape, and my knowledge will never stop to improve.
Yes.
So that's the thing. I mean, I think it's once we do a few events, and some fighter look at it from the outside, and they're like, they will want to have a piece of it, to be part of it, and that's my goal. I wanna make people tune into this and. To be successful.
So for you to be so excited to be able to fight with us in December, are there any names that you were kind of like looking forward to? Now that you have a date lined up, you're kind of thinking in ahead and being like, okay, I know I'm going to do this. Here's some people who I definitely wanted to pick at.
Well, there's two type of competitioner in this event. There will be guys that compete that are only specialize in grappling. They've been specialized in it for many years, that they compete to be the best grappler in the world. I'm from mixed martial art background, so
you should more than likely fight another mixed martial artist.
Exactly. I think I serve better the organization and the audience if I'm going up against another fighter than someone who only specializes into grappling.
Yeah, somebody who's spending a lot of their time still also doing kickboxing and all the other things. I mean, we have some amazing welterweights that happen to be fighting this weekend. Are you going to have your eye on that as well, or?
Well, I'm always have an eye on the sport, and I never really took my attention off of it. It's always fun. I remain a big fan, and I'm excited to see who's gonna win in the card this weekend.
Yes, it's gonna be an amazing event.
Yes.
GSP headed to the UFC Fight Pass Invitational coming up December 14th. George, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds, all part of International Fight Week in Las Vegas. There are names that jump off the page. There's a guy here tonight, Anderson Silva. We never got to see that fight in mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
Like you talk about your legacy, would a fight with another legend in the grappling world like an Anderson, would that be something that you would be interested in?
Yeah, it would be interesting. I mean, it takes three entities to do a fight. It takes one and the second fighter and the promoter. I mean, everything can be done. It just need to be, that everybody on the term that everybody is accepted, and let's go. No problem.
Another thing that I'm curious about seeing you on the FPI mat is what sort of rule set you would like. I mean, we've seen the Danaher Death Squad over the years do really well in EBI rules, with that long sort of endurance, a throwback to the Pride Days, if you will, with a 10-minute round and the EBI overtime rules. Would you want to do something like that, or would you want to see something more like a mixed martial arts fight where you have 3 4-minute rounds or 10-point must system?
I think it would be better if we do something that is more appealing for the audience, something that promote finishes. I think that's
love that response.
That's what the fans wanted to see. They want to see a high pace with a lot of finishes. So the rule set needs to be discussed in order to promote that.
Yes. Oh, hello, Cowboy.
Uh-oh.
I just want to give you a
Yeah.
All the celebrities are here. Hopefully, we'll talk to that guy in a second. Let me ask you this, George. We, celebrating a lot of fighters' legacies here. You were a guy you've already mentioned in this interview. You were someone who thought, constantly about legacy and what you were going to leave behind. Look at this class. Like, what do you think about these athletes? I mean, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, Jens Pulver. Like, is it exciting for you as a Hall of Famer to come back to an event like this and look at these guys and celebrate with them?
It's a lot of fun. I mean, to me, I just crossed paths with Don Fry. I saw James Pulver. I mean, I used to be big fans of these guys, and they really inspire me to become who I become, and it's great to see them.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing to see where the sport has come from. On UFC Fight Pass, we can go back and watch fights of you in UCC back in the day. I got a UCC belt at home that Jeremy Horn won. Like, I'm a huge MMA nerd. So, to see the generations, come and grow and evolve is exciting. And, man, the next chapter still to be penned for GSP. FPI coming up in December. George, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much and can't wait to see what is next for you on the mat.
Thank you, guys. I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for the support, and stay tuned. December 14. Oh, yeah.
Let's
go. GSP.
Don't go anywhere. We want a picture with you,
We got to
please.
take a picture with GSP if we can make it happen. Steve's going to take a photo.
Take it on
Here
my
we
phone,
go.
please. Okay, but also take it on my phone. Thank you.
All right. George St. Pierre, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds. TJ DeSantis, Vanessa Demopoulos. Get George out of the way here. Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming by. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George.
See you soon. GSP, kind enough to join us on Extra Rounds. Donald Cerrone, crashing our
Donald
interview.
Cerrone just crashing on in over here.
I mean, if anybody's going to do it,
Yeah.
let the cowboy do
Go
it.
where he wants. That's what makes Cowboy. He has always just done what he wanted to do. Like, the man's an adrenaline junkie. He's somebody who's just loud and crazy and wild and unpredictable, similar to a lot of his fights.
Can I tell you what excited me the most about that
me.
interview with George St. Pierre? He talked about giving the fans something. And, you know me. I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. To be a part of the FPI and, the combat Jiu-Jitsu worlds and the EBIs that I've been able to call, alongside yourself, by the way, archived now on UFC Fight Pass. But to hear someone like George St. Pierre, who doesn't need to do anything he doesn't want to, but to do so with the idea that he's giving combat sports fans something that they'll appreciate, is exciting for me, because I believe without Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the UFC doesn't get to where it is today. Keep in mind, this was a sport that was bred from the Gracies trying to prove that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the martial art that you need to practice if you're only going to practice one martial art. Obviously, the UFC came from it. But now for the UFC and for someone like George St. Pierre to put his focus, energy, and effort on Jiu-Jitsu, when he said, this is something that will impact his legacy in some people's minds. This is a true gift to any combat sports fan, any Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fan, to see GSP hit the mat at the FPI in December. That's really exciting.
I love the fact that he's going to be coming back to submission grappling, not just jiu-jitsu, not just points, not just let's go to the judge's decision. He said he wants to do submission grappling. He wants to make this exciting. He wants to make this for the fans. He's training for that. And, we're talking about a man who walked away on top.
Yeah.
He walked away on top.
Came back, finished on top again, and walked away.
Still,
You know?
yes. So for him to still be like, I want this. This is what's in my blood. This is what I love to do. Not only do I love to do it for himself, I mean, he could just be training in the gym every single day, but he wants to do this for us. So there's nothing more exciting than that, you guys.
Yeah, and another guy, too, in George St. Pierre, we talk about mixed martial arts. Like, his roots are in Kyokushin karate. Like, he's a black belt in karate and then became one of the most dominant ground players in UFC and welterweight history.
He used to walk out in his kimono with the thing around his head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And,
I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called. No disrespect. I call it the thing. I don't know what it is.
I knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just say you were dumbing it down for me.
All right, I'm dumbing it down for TJ.
Yeah. I'm TJ DeSantis. That's Vanessa Demopoulos. We are live inside T-Mobile Arena, right next to the red carpet here for the UFC Hall of Fame ceremony as we are cruising through International Fight Week. Man, and again, like, there are so many things going on just with this whole week that somehow an amazing card like UFC 290 takes a back seat to everything that's going on. Trust me, it's going to be top of mind when we're in this building again on Saturday night. 2 title fights headed your way, but that's how stacked this weekend is as we just get to celebrate the sport of mixed martial arts.
I want to call it 2.5. It's like 2.5 title fights because it's like a title fight and then another title fight versus an interim champion.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like almost champion versus champion.
Right.
So it's like 2 title fights and a half.
I like that.
Because there's 3 belts.
Well, I mean,
there's three people holding belts right now walking into 2 fights.
And then you look at that Whitaker and Dricus du Plessis fight, like that's a title eliminator in a lot of ways. So
no, not in a lot of ways. That is a title eliminator.
Okay, so now we're almost at 3 titles, really.
We got like 17 title fights happening.
We're going to have a number
Saturday night.
I don't think that adds up. I mean, I'm not good at math, but no, I mean, really, you're going to have a number 1 contender come out of that middleweight fight. You're going to have undisputed champions in both the featherweight and flyweight divisions. Like, this is as stacked as it gets. This is everything any fight fan could ever want, and it's coming your way this Saturday night, UFC 290, as we really get to celebrate and sort of send off International Fight Week with a bang. But tonight it's all about the Hall of Fame. Donald Cerrone was here a moment ago. Anderson Silva. I mean, GSP kind of took the bait a little bit, trying to get him to talk about Anderson. I would love to see that fight come to fruition. I mean, to me, I know George talked about his legacy, and he thinks about his legacy a lot. No matter what George does on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu stage, it won't impact his legacy, in my opinion, in a negative way whatsoever. But I would feel like we would really get something special if potentially Anderson was put together.
Oh, my goodness. Are you kidding me? Yes. And Anderson Silva is somebody who is also still actively competing. But in boxing, when, again, let's look at the flip side of this. He was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, somebody known for his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his nickname being the Spider, knowing for climbing people and submitting them. And now he's in the boxing ring. And then we have GSP, who came from a stand-up art, who's now in the Jiu-Jitsu ring. It's just like they both like wanted to like flip-flop it, So
look at these stars that are coming over here.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
You guys don't see the sheet that I see.
I don't know if I should share this with them yet. I don't know. I might want to make them wait a little bit.
Yeah, let's make them wait. The anticipation is fun.
But no, I mean, Anderson versus GSP, if it happens, I would absolutely love it. But we'll find out. Like, this is the fun and excitement of the evolution of George coming back, because he's going to be an analyst coming up here in September for the FPI 5, and then on the mat for FPI 6. I mean, we're going to find out. It's going to be sort of, I'm going to be refreshing the internet constantly going, is there any clue? Is there any hint?
Yes, this is absolutely like incredible. Just to know that he's going to be on the microphone too, analyzing things, talking. I mean, I love his mind for martial arts. There's nobody who has studied the martial arts as extensively as George has, not only as an athlete, but somebody who just passionately loves the sport.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I want to ask almost every Hall of Fame athlete that we get to talk to, and I'm actually going to turn this question on you, who's going through their journey right now in the UFC. Do you fight with legacy top of mind? Do you think about what you're doing as far as being a role model is concerned for other athletes that are looking at you compete and go, wow, like I'm her size. I never thought about fighting in the octagon as a lighter woman in combat sports. Do you think about those things?
I have thought about those things on the front end, yes. Like prior to even becoming a UFC fighter, those are things that I used to sit at home and just dream about, like, is this ever going to happen? Like, what are the things that I want to be remembered for? Who am I as a person? And all of those like questions, right? And then now I'm just like in the moment. I'm really just enjoying this process and allowing it to take shape, because truly you never really understand where everything is going to end up once you're in the moment. I'm sorry, Drew Dober's standing over here. He's just one of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
I think we're coming full circle.
In, Drew.
Let me move out of your way.
I'm distracted.
Drew Dober.
Drew Dober.
Kind enough to join us. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa. Wasn't Drew our first interview together a year ago in this exact same spot?
In this exact same place.
We'll see.
How are you, Drew?
I mean, fantastic. I'm here with Vanessa in front of the cameras, hanging out with the fans. Like, the world can't be any better.
It's International Fight Week in Las Vegas. Like, where else would you rather be?
Right. It's the UFC Comic-Con, and I'm a part of it, and I'm getting recognized and appreciated, and it's always good when people appreciate your work.
I think International Fight Week is, like you said, it's sort of a Comic-Con for MMA. We just all get to come together as MMA fans and just, hang out, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated about mixed martial arts. Whether you're, a fan or a competitor, like, it's a melting pot in the best ways. Like, where else are you going to walk amongst, huge stars of mainstream sports like you can here with UFC athletes? Because
or like a walking Ken doll over here.
I mean, I brought my suspenders, so I'm trying to draw attention. But like, this is the moment where I get to be a part of the people that allow me to get paid to fight people in an octagon, right? Like, I'm only able to do this for a career because everyone that's out here, on their own dime. And man, I love every moment of this. I love being a part of these interviews, and I love being a part of International Fight Week.
When you enter T-Mobile Arena on fight night and you're not fighting, what is it like for you to see the octagon? Do you get the itch? Like, man, does it feel similar? Do you get the same sort of excitement, nerves, or anything like that when you're fighting?
Yes. Actually, it's far more like nerve-wracking. I get to see, like, you can hear the smacks and the pounds, and man, I go, holy crap, I gotta do this for a living. But also it builds that energy where I'm so excited to be a part of it again, to be in there, right? Like, it's one thing to be a spectator, but it's even more pleasurable to be a competitor. And man, this is just, I'm drawing energy from the crowd and the people, and I'm gonna bring it into the next fight.
What about our list of inductees tonight? I mean, Donald Cerrone, Anderson Silva. Like, I hate to say that this class is superior to any other class because they're all great Hall of Fame athletes, but I feel like I was saying earlier, like, this is the crew that I want getting my back in any sort of kerfuffle in the street.
Dude, this is the inductee, like, to be a part of. Cowboy Cerrone, Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, like, these guys are world champions. These guys are going to be remembered forever. And to be a part of this, like, it's so incredible because they've done so many amazing things. And Jen Pulver just wrote the path for every lightweight in the lightweight division.
It's true.
And man, he started it all. He's a gangster, and man, I've been a fan of his forever. I've been watching all these guys since I was in high school, and I can only be, dream to be as good as these guys.
We were actually just talking about legacy as you were walking up, and is that something that you kind of like think about when you see names like this, when you see the Jens Pulvers, the Jose Aldos? Is that something that in your mind you're like, one day I will not only be walking the red carpet of the Hall of Fame, but I will be walking it as an inductee?
Right. Well, so these guys wrote the path that being a champion is fantastic, but having memorable fights is even more important. Between Donald Cerrone, Anderson Silva, and Jose Aldo, like, wins, losses don't matter as much as what you do when you're in the octagon.
Absolutely.
And like the fans you can create within that 15 to 25 minutes is important. And so, like, I love to be a part of this because, like, win or lose, like, as long as we're going out there, giving it our all, putting on fantastic fights, like, you're going to be pleased regardless.
And if you guys have ever seen Drew Dober in that octagon, I mean, he's one of the most exciting fighters that you'll ever get to watch. We've seen him in trouble and then come back and knock people out, and he's just on there. Like, he's living and dying by the sword. Like, Drew Dober's absolutely an athlete that when he's on the card, it's about to be fireworks.
It's about kill or be killed.
I
mean, like, I would hate the fact that there's to squeak your way to a title, win by decision. Like, no, we're here to like cause damage, make memories, kill somebody or be killed. And man, that's what I hold so dear every time I'm in the octagon.
So what's up next for you here, part of International Fight Week? You going out to UFC X or anything like that?
I mean, I'm a part of everything.
Yeah.
So whether it's walking the strip, being about the convention, red carpet, Hall of Fame, I mean, all about it. Like, this is the week that I get to be a part of everyone that allows me to fight for a living.
Nice. So just sign up for all of it. You're like Cowboy Cerrone when people call and ask him if you want to fight. Drew Dober on International Fight Week. Do I want to go to UFC X? Yes, I want to go to UFC X.
Exactly. I mean, Cowboy Cerrone getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, and he's been an idol, a mentor, and a star of mine. So I can only hope to dream about being a part of that.
See, I love when current day UFC athletes get to like nerd out about MMA. It's exciting because like we're still all sort of hardcore fight fans. It's a community. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, this is the UFC Comic-Con.
Yes,
So let's
really
all
is.
nerd out and enjoy these people, these moments, and man, bleeding and crying for this career.
And if this is the UFC Comic-Con, we truly have superheroes that are here walking around with you guys. Just the real life versions.
I mean, it only helps that I have the square jawline, so I'm practically a Superman, right?
This is true. This is true.
Does that mean I should dress up as like a UFC athlete? Isn't that what they do at Comic-Con?
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool.
So next
Could you
year I need-
imagine if all the fans showed up dressed up like UFC fighters?
I need you to bring in your next favorite athlete costume.
All right.
So next year,
I mean,
I'm
we all
counting
wear
on
the
it.
same uniform, so that would be it'd be a little different.
I
yeah.
mean,
I'm picturing a Connor. I picture like a tattoo on his chest, shirtless. Like, you can do it, right?
How do you know if I don't have tattoos on my chest? Maybe I got a tiger
I mean,
on my
there's
chest.
only one
or
way to
gorilla,
prove
you
it,
know?
I think.
All right, that'll be next year at
Done.
International Fight Week. Drew Dober, appreciate you coming out. Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate you guys.
All right, I'll move out of your way. Get
Take
you
a
on your way.
picture of us.
All right, more pictures.
We like pictures.
Vanessa likes photos.
I
and
personally enjoy photos, so
Yeah.
you guys are just here so that we can take photos of people.
she may or may not crop me out of all of them, but I don't know. All right, there we go.
Let's
See,
go.
I knew I
One
was going to be
second, one
cropped
second.
out of one. Drew Dober, kind enough to join us here
Thank
on
you.
Extra Rounds.
Thank you.
Yeah? All right.
I'm a huge fan of you. Let's go, Drew.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Drew Dober joining us here on the red carpet. Full circle, Vanessa Demopoulos.
Absolutely.
That was our first interview together, and it's our latest interview here at Extra Rounds. And more exciting business is happening.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you know? What do you know?
I don't know anything. I'm the one. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let's move. Let me play here. Go here. All right.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. Giga, good to see you.
Seeing you too.
There you go. I'll give you that. Giga Chikanzi kind of joined us here on Extra Rounds, part of International Fight Week. I feel like anybody on roster has the incentive to come out and be a part of, and you're answering that call as well.
Sweet.
I mean, was the plan always to come out? Like, do you enjoy these sort of, events when you're not competing?
I love it.
Yeah?
I love it because there is no stress. There is no the trash talking. There is nothing. I mean, probably like one of the most fun day inside the UFC whole year, right? Everyone is happy. Everyone
agree.
is getting award. At least like they are looking great and they telling the compliments to each other. So even old opponents,
Right.
maybe future opponents. I don't know. It's
I
a
mean,
good day.
What is the difference between just another guy in your weight class and a future opponent? I mean, sometimes it's a compliment, sometimes it's an insult. You know? I mean, what is it like when you are around Fight Week and you eyeball another guy in your weight class?
I mean, so far I didn't really have that type of feelings.
Yeah.
I met future potential opponents. I met old opponents of mine, and always good talking with them. This week only, we ask each other questions about how camp's going, how is family, how is stuff going, and I feel like everyone is really happy and everyone is proud what they're doing, and we respect each other. This type of sport, you cannot have disrespect these days.
Right.
Of course, some of the talks before the fight, there's always here and there because it's a fight business. But when it comes about the International Fight Week, everyone is super happy.
Oh, I love that. I love that. You do charity work as well, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something that I heard so much about you, by the way, is the charity that you end up doing.
Yeah.
So, you talk a lot about the positivity of International Fight Week, but you're somebody who brings positivity to other people through the works that you do. You want to talk to us about the charity work a little bit?
Sure, I would love to mention. So I founded the charity fund 2014. My mom passed away from cancer in 2013, and after this, me and my sister, we founded a charity fund called Knockout Cancer. And that was a slogan. That slogan came from before when she was battling this cause. We were trying to gather the money, the funds, and plus mentally to support her, right?
Yeah.
My thing was to go inside the cage or in the ring. That time I was kickboxer, and I always had the small slogan on the T-shirts as the sponsor type of like the logo there. With that, I was pretty much showing her the love and the support that we were in this battle together. And after this came the idea to found a charity fund, because I remember how hard it was to gather the funds, and now we all are united in this and sharing the support to others.
I love that.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people are sharing that same support with you too, and they see what a good heart that you have behind it. So the people who are being nice to you this week, it's not about them being fake and trying to fight you behind your back. I think you're actually a good human, and they appreciate that.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah, you're welcome.
I mean, it's interesting when we get to know more about athletes and what they're passionate about, because this is a one-on-one sport, but you don't get to fight night without your team, and there are certain causes where it seems like you're in a battle by yourself, especially when you're afflicted with something like cancer. You need a team and a group of people behind you. We can bring fight fans together and all fight for a great cause. It's exciting.
It's always good to see when, let's say, some of the patients who need support, and if I announce or something, there are a lot of people standing behind it and whatever they want. Some with just love and support and messages. I don't know, and it's always good to see other people's support to other one. How they bring this feeling to their hearts,
And speaking of support, is there anybody that you're kind of behind this weekend that you're supporting? Looking forward to UFC 290, or a big event happening on Saturday?
Always rooting for the Rob Whittaker. It's always fun to watch his fight. He's from the Goju karate style background, which I'm coming from as well, and I don't think there is another fighters. From that karate style, it's always fun to watch him. And Bo Nickel, he's my buddy, and also supporting him, of course.
We like Bo Nickel. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Giga, appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks.
Enjoy the rest of your week.
Giga, thank you so very much.
You never know who's
You
going
look
to roll
great.
up
I
on
like
us
that
here.
suit.
On the desk here for International Fight Week, as we are broadcasting live from the red carpet. UFC Hall of Fame ceremony, rolling strong. TJ Santis Vanessa Demopoulos. Hi. What's going to happen next? We don't know.
You never know who's going to walk over here to the extra rounds booth for Fight Pass.
Is this your phone? Is this his phone?
That's Giga's phone.
Oh, someone needs to hand that to Giga. We got Giga's phone. I'm going to set that right there because he's going to want it.
He's
We
definitely
could
gonna
take
be
a bunch of
wondering what
photos with it, and he would be like, what happened?
Yeah, selfies.
Yeah.
That actually happens to me all the time when I go to hand somebody my phone to take a picture. Don't get any ideas, people. But everybody's always taking selfies. I'm like, there you go. I'll find those later. That's
Why not?
fun. That's always fun.
Yeah. People are like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like selfies.
Why not?
Let's take a selfie.
Let's not take a selfie. Right now?
Oh, yeah, we're doing this.
All right. Why not? Selfies on the air. That's actually a pretty good photo of me. I like that. You should put that on.
I'll send that to you.
You should put that on Threads or whatever the kids are doing these days.
Oh, that's a new. Yeah, that's happening.
Well, I mean, is that a shot across the bow at Twitter?
I feel like yes. I'm like, okay, so Zuckerberg's trying to get a quick win over Elon Musk before they step into the cage against each other at UFC 300, which would be crazy if that happens. I'm like, yeah, he's just trying to get a little edge on there. You know, he's just trying a little stab.
So we're going to see like the Mark Zuckerberg developed car? Is that coming soon?
Ooh, yeah, I guess it is really difficult to actually compete with Elon Musk, is it not? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, SpaceX, you
right.
know? Yeah.
What do you know about flying outer space?
Tunnels like here in Las Vegas just for us. I think that's a part of Elon Musk, right?
Tesla tunnels.
It's a Tesla thing.
Yeah. I try not to drive when I'm here because I don't know where the heck I'm going.
Yeah. I moved here like 2 weeks ago, so I've
been driving a lot.
Yeah,
but you're like a feather in the wind. You just like, I live here now.
This is true. I do move often.
Yeah, we're living here on the edge of the red carpet here at the UFC Hall of Fame ceremony. It's Extra Rounds, TJ DeSantis along with Vanessa Demopoulos. Just hanging out, living up International Fight Week. If you're just joining us, we've already had a ton of great guests stop by. George St. Pierre was here talking about his participation in a future UFC Fight Pass Invitational.
Cowboy Cerrone came and attacked GSP in a positive way. It was a hug. It was an actual real hug, not like a struggle snuggle.
Yeah. I forgot they actually trained together. When you look at GSP, he spent a good amount of time with Jackson Wink out there in Albuquerque. And I mean, I just assume that everyone comes up to GSP to say hello, but those guys have some history training back in the day. And now they're going to have some history together moving forward as both are UFC Hall of Famers. Donald Cerrone getting inducted tonight, and along with some other great athletes, Jose Aldo, Anderson Silva, Jens Pulver, Robbie Lawler with his fight against Roy McDonald, the second go-around. So many things to celebrate here at International Fight Week and the Hall of Fame ceremony, and it doesn't stop here. UFC X headed your way tomorrow. You're going to be out there. I know you're going to do some broadcasting with me, but I think you're on that Drew Dober train, just kind of, casually traveling around and saying hello to everybody.
Are you kidding me? That's definitely my favorite part, is being able to say hi to everybody, taking pictures with everyone, signing autographs, not only at the booths, but just like walking around, just being able to see people out in the open. It's just my favorite thing ever.
Were you popular? Were you like this much of a social butterfly in high school?
Absolutely not.
Yeah,
no, okay, all right. I was a social butterfly, but I was definitely not popular.
Okay.
Yeah, right. I got into a lot of fights in school. Yeah, which is, what led me to fighting into a cage.
I mean, sounds like education. Sounds like you were just getting in extra work before you became a pro.
I was training before I knew I was training.
There's something to be said for that.
Yeah,
There's life's lessons. Get you sent down a certain way.
They call that the street of hard knocks.
Yeah,
that's
something
like a real
that.
thing. Yeah,
Something
there's songs about that.
Yeah, I think we're going to be joined by John Anik coming up here in a few moments. UFC lead play-by-play man. He's got a ton on his plate. We talk about everything that's going on. Like John Anik is doing weigh-ins. He's doing press conferences. He's doing, the fights. He's calling the fights on Saturday. He's broadcast from UFC X. Everybody has to have this open mindset when you come to International Fight Week of probably not going to get much sleep, and I'm going to experience a lot.
This is the truth.
Otherwise, just don't come.
This is the very much so truth, yes. And John Anik is somebody who, similar to yourself, has been doing this since before people really loved what we do. You've been doing this before anybody even really knew what MMA was or cared about MMA. You're just like, I saw this thing and I love it so much. And I was talking to John Anik the other day, and he too has also been doing this for about 20 years or so and has just passionately loved the sport the entire time. And the fire has only grown for him, and he's gotten, better and better, and it's just amazing to be able to watch somebody so stylistically be able to bring the fights to us and allow everybody else understand them that much more, have that much more passion for the sport that we've all loved so much for so long.
Yeah, I used to tell people back in the day, I love this thing called MMA, and they literally thought I was talking about Comic-Con and that I was saying anime. And it's just like, it's not what I'm saying. I mean, nothing against anime. If you're into anime, that's fine. I know nothing about anime. And if I get into a conversation where people think I'm talking about anime, they're going to realize real quick, if they know anything about anime, that I don't know anything about anime. So.
I'm not kidding. I still talk to people who have no idea what UFC is, what MMA is.
Who?
I swear, there's so many people. And so I'm just like, well, do you know what wrestling is? And they usually know what that is. And I'm like, well, do you know what boxing is? And they usually do know what boxing is. And I'm like, okay, just smash those together. That's what I do.
Right, yeah.
It's a street fight with a few rules.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot more rules than
there were back when
Don Fry was fighting.
Don Fry was fighting when Anderson Silva started, who I believe he started in Vale Tudo.
Yeah,
You know, he also used to fight like 3 to 6 times a night per evening, and
6 seems a little high, but maybe 3.
It seems high, but I've done jiu-jitsu tournaments where I've definitely fought 8 to 10 times in a day.
Jiu-jitsu's different than an MMA fight.
MMA used to be that way once upon a time.
Yeah, the most I've ever seen, I think it was like UFC 4. Right around then, they had a 16-man tournament. Not too many people fighting 4 times in one night. It has happened. I don't recall anybody fighting
ambitious.
5 times in a night.
I'm ambitious.
I mean, yes. That controlled aggression we talked about.
Arr.
Like, if you don't control it, you'll find your way to all sorts of
That's why we have
hijinks.
17 title fights happening on
That's
Saturday
right.
night.
Yeah.
If you guys weren't paying attention from earlier, we got into a discussion about that. Sorry, I'm getting off key here.
That's okay. I mean, again, you come to International Fight Week, you have a rough idea of what's going to happen, and then all of it happens plus some. And, you just remember it all when you go home and go, damn, I'm happy I did that.
You know, I was explaining to somebody how excited I am for International Fight Week, how amazing it is to have the Hall of Fame happening. We have UFC Expo going on tomorrow. You have the ceremonial weigh-ins, the press conferences, and UFC 290 coming to us on Saturday night. And I was like, this is almost like having your favorite meal where you want to savor each course.
Yeah.
Each course.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like every bite, like you're just trying to take your time because this is just going to blink so quickly, you know, and so many fans are rushing in from all over the world to be able to meet the stars of the UFC, the superstars that they're truly turning into, especially the people who are here tonight for the Hall of Fame. And before you know it, you know, we're going to blink and be back home and looking back on this event and how amazing it all was.
I mean, before you know it, we're going to be back here in the same spot next year and be like, remember when we did this for the first time together 2 years ago?
I love that idea.
I mean, we'll just keep going. Talking about the old school days, you've done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We just saw the tournament at the FPI. Eddie Bravo was on the call with myself and Michael Chiesa. You were there as well in the booth. And, Eddie's talked a lot about mixed martial arts and the idea of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and no-gi grappling. Grappling has something that MMA really can't have in the modern day, and that is the one-night tournament. And I love the fact that we get that MMA influence sort of tournament structure when it comes to no-gi grappling and BJJ.
Yeah, I love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I love the tournament style that they are bringing, as well as the amazing super fights that we get to look forward to and rave about. I think the super fights is really like what people kind of want to see, but honestly, the tournaments are that's the bread and butter, that's the amazing part of it. It's like, what man is going to be standing at the end of the day when you have an ocean of them all fighting each other? And, of course, I'm exaggerating a little bit when I say an ocean of them, but truly it's like a 16-man, 8-man tournament. They all want to win. There can only be one victor, and every single match is exciting, all the way up until the end. So I think tournaments are the way to go if you can kind of pay attention to who's in them and who's climbing the ranks. This last tournament was so spectacular. Fight Pass Invitational 4 was probably the absolute best tournament I've ever seen.
I mean,
ever. ADCC's is amazing, but I felt like this was incredible.
The Nicky Rod armbar escape on Big Dan Minosoya,
that one had me nervous.
Is he triple jointed, Nicky Rod?
I asked him the next day if his arm was okay, and he said, actually, yeah, it was, that his arm was fine. I did not think his arm was fine. If you saw that, you know that it probably potentially popped at least a little bit.
We have different definitions of fine. I'm going to point that out. But
I think his arm went crack, crack, and he just fought through it. But he won.
Yeah.
He won.
And he got a whole bunch of money for it, too,
Yes,
like
he did.
$30,000. And he sort of made a habit of picking up these big paydays. He won EBI last year as well.
$50,000 grand prize for the EBI.
And that's something that is so exciting when you have more names like George St. Pierre getting involved. The money and the purses and the prizes, just the idea of prize fighting, that's what this is in mixed martial arts. It's prize fighting, but we're starting to see more prizes worth fighting for in a sport that long has been known as one that you have to pay to compete in, and that is changing. And the idea of high-level professional grapplers being able to make a name and sustain themselves in prize fighting in BJJ, that's something special.
Yeah, I love the idea that jiu-jitsu artists are able to now start to get compensated. And that's what submission and grappling stemmed from, was athletes being able to go out there and get paid some prize money to have these super fights, to have these tournaments, to go out there and win these. And they're not winning medals, they're winning money, which to them was so much more valuable and willing to lay it all out on the line, like Nikki Rod did for us last Thursday night on Fight Pass Invitational 4. And it's amazing. You know, I'm loving seeing the evolution of jiu-jitsu, a sport that I'm so very passionate about, start to get to the levels that MMA fighters started transitioning out of jiu-jitsu for. We used to see a lot of people that were so high level in jiu-jitsu start to transition into MMA so that they can start, you know, creating some income for themselves. And now you can actually be just a pure grappler and start to get those same type of rewards.
Yeah, also, too, I like the squad setup that you can have in these tournaments as well. You know, the 5-on-5 quintet sort of, teams. Like, there are just things you can do, different formats that provide a completely different look than what you're used to on fight night, but still very much be a sort of 3.5 hour show where, you know, just people get to make their names. Like stars are born on these nights. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch the UFC Fight Pass Invitational 4. It's available for you now on UFC Fight Pass. Obviously, we kind of spoiled it. If you haven't seen it yet, Nick Rodriguez, able to get his hand raised. But if you are trying to tell me that Big Dan Monasoyu is not a star in his own right, like, I'm not buying that. That man, a young man at that, 21, 22 years old, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, like the future is so bright for that young man.
Yeah, Big Dan Monasoyu is somebody who has just been shining, especially on the Fight Pass scene. This man has been seen at the EBIs. You know, he's been seen at the Fight Pass Invitationals, at who's number ones. You know, like there's like so many very major tournaments that are pinnacle for jiu-jitsu that Dan Monasoyu has just been taking over by storm. I mean, I watched him snap another man's ligament completely in half. That was fairly traumatizing for, I think, anybody who doesn't understand jiu-jitsu. At its pure sport.
It's traumatizing for people that do understand jiu-jitsu.
It was crazy. And Dan is a star in his own right, and I think that we're going to see so much more of him moving forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, check it out. Check out all of the grappling available for you. There's a ton of it over on UFC Fight Pass. Step into our world today. Sign up, UFCFightPass.com. We're talking not only the Fight Pass Invitationals, but the Eddie Bravo Invitationals, Combat Jiu-Jitsu Worlds, Medusa, which you're a veteran of. Check it out. Little monster. She gets crazy on the BJJ mat as well. So, there are still stars here. And, like, one thing that is exciting to me is I was talking to some of the people behind the scenes. They were saying, like, yeah, it should take, like, 2 or 3 minutes for an athlete to walk the red carpet. No. There's a lot of press here.
Yes.
They're, giving their time and doing interviews. And, like, that's exciting, again, because it's all of our athletes in mixed martial arts, it's always one of two interviews, it feels like. It's a pre-fight or a post-fight. And, a pre-fight interview, all the athletes have to be guarded with their answers, right? You can't say, oh, I'm injured. I can't be very honest and open. And then, when you do a post-fight interview, it's like you just won or you're dealing with a tough loss and you want to just, not everybody, but I don't blame any athlete who just wants to get on to the next thing and have a, vacation. But this is something where these athletes get to talk about things on and off topic to their traditional sort of pre-fight and post-fight interviews. And that's exciting, too, because I have never met a more diverse group of people than those that make up combat sports and the athletes themselves.
Yeah, I think that it definitely takes a special type of a character to be a fighter, to be somebody who walks in there. And like Don Fry was saying, we're at a very different stage of fighting right now. It's not just people who are willing to get into a bar fight anymore. You have like college-educated individuals who say, I definitely have this big degree. I spent so much time in college. I can go and do anything I want with my life. I'm going to go punch some people in the face.
I mean, I've talked to athletes that have degrees in things that I don't know what they mean.
Yeah,
like Jinyu Fry's fought in the UFC.
That was the one person that came to mind as soon as you said that.
She has a degree in nuclear medicine. I don't know what that means.
I mean, I don't know what it means, but it's something that I don't know anybody else in the world that I've ever heard had that degree, and she has that.
Yeah.
On top of being a world-class athlete, fighting at the highest level possible here in the UFC octagon. So, yeah.
I mean, again, I made it 3 weeks in college. I definitely can't tell you what nuclear medicine is.
No, not a clue. And that's just one of her, 3 degrees, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that weren't hard enough for her, she locked herself in an octagon with other trained assassins.
And I think in between her fight camps, she goes and does these crazy.
She climbs mountains and stuff.
I was gonna say, she's peaking mountains.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's incredible. Yeah. So there are athletes who could do so many other things with their lives, and they choose to be here, very violent individuals, and do one of the most primal sports and hardest sports on the entire planet.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, that's what makes it such a unique, diverse group of people. Because you know what I do in between fights? And granted, I'm not fighting. I'm just saying watching them. I just watch other fights. I don't really do much. I just hang out.
I go on wormholes of Tapology, personally.
Oh, there are some wormholes.
I get into wormholes on Tapology. Yeah. So when I'm not actively fighting or actively training, I am actively nerding out on other people fighting and training. Hello!
One of my favorite fighters in the world is going to stop by. I'm going to move out the way. Absolutely.
What's up? I got another. We got 2 chairs in the middle here for us.
You can stand with me. It doesn't matter. I don't want to get in the way.
We'll get you all in there.
All right. What's it? Joy. No Joy. No Brian. Austin. Oh, Sean. Can you hold me?
Here he is.
Hi, I'm Vanessa.
Almost freshly inducted UFC Hall of Fame.
Be?
Grab those stick microphones. Right there.
Come over a little bit. Come over one more.
Let's get all cozy.
You're good.
Let's get all
there
cozy.
There we go.
All right. Here we go. Little Evil, Jens Pulver.
I love the mic setup. What's going on, bud?
How are we doing right now?
It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I'm just soaking it all in. I'm trying to enjoy it. I'm trying to enjoy it right now.
I mean, a night that not a lot of people thought was coming. It's finally here.
Well, thank you, because I know you're one of them. You kept pushing and advocating, and as miserable as that made me sometimes, every year this would come up like Jens Pulver, and I love and appreciate everybody. You know how much I appreciate you, but man, it was getting hard. I'm like, I just didn't do enough, and I was willing to accept this is it, but. I guess I keep going after Garth Brooks, man. Greatest gift is unanswered prayers. It's came at a perfect time.
Is this Carson?
So this is the one I'm always talking about. It's my baby boy, and I had to bring him up here because one, my man, I didn't want him to dress up too much, so I was like, we got to get this tuxedo T-shirt going. I love it. That's the perfect one for this kid. So one day he'll be in a tux, but right now a tuxedo T-shirt.
Oh my goodness, I love this so much. Yes, you guys are amazing, and you look so sharp tonight.
Thank you very
much. Yes,
absolutely. Thank you.
So what was it like walking the red carpet and doing that part of the Hall of Fame?
Surreal. It's one of the things I always say. Time. It's just so cool to sit there and be able to have people asking you questions, just want to give you their time. I love it. You know how much I love to talk, but yeah, I mean, just that was massive. It felt good just to be able to sit there and talk, and I didn't realize dang, he can talk a lot. But like I said, man, at the end of the day, I think that's what a lot of people miss as they get through the sport and they kind of grow old and they get out of the way. Is a lot of people aren't giving you their time anymore, and that's and. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really cool.
We were talking to Don Fry earlier, who fought, the earlier days of the UFC than you did. You were kind of in that middle period. You bridged that gap into, from Don Fry's time to the modern time. I think you were in that middle generation. the idea of a red carpet and, celebrities coming out, like, that wasn't a thing in the late 90s. No one was ever thinking about that. Like, what is it like for you to see not only, big-time celebrity, like, we're talking about a potential billionaire fight between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg.
That's crazy.
And, also, too, we've got guys like George St. Pierre, who's, been in major motion pictures, who's a celebrity far beyond just the combat sports world. What is it like for you to take all of that in, knowing what it was like, from the early days to the modern days and being active throughout all of that?
They crossed over, and it's just cool to see the sport the way it is. And everybody always asks, if you could fight now, would you? I'm like, yeah, because just how many fights and the size of it. This would be incredible. I loved what I did when I did it, and that's, try to be the best in the world at that time. But the way that it's grown and blown up, you knew it was going to be like that. And it, like I said, it's surreal to watch this because it's like, man, this is just at a whole nother level. And then when my little buddy here, he starts getting up into this thing, when they start fighting, if he wants to, he doesn't have to. But when he starts to come around, just imagine the size of the sport then.
Right.
So it's, like I said, I love it. It's just on a whole nother level. We were meeting in Louisiana, and it was, again, the 100 of us. I love it, but it was like a clubhouse. To now, it's just a full-scale sport. It's insane.
I love what you were able to do back then, and just like creating something that was like didn't even exist before you, like being the first lightweight champion to ever do this. Like there was no other lightweights. Like you made fighting exciting for people that were under the welterweights. Like what was that? Like what was that like at that time when everybody else is doing like these big things and you're like, man, when's everybody going to start giving us some lightweights some attention over here?
The craziest thing was I would have to fight. I fought everybody. I would fight for when I tell people VHS to Blu-ray, I would sit there and fight for videotape. I fought for free, and I would fight anybody, any weight class. I was just fighting, but I'm not getting arrested. So I'm like, let's go. And I would just line them up. And then finally somebody said, well, let's fight at 170. So like I said, it's all going to be in the speech tonight, but wait till you hear this part. But that's exactly what I'm going to do is talk about those exact moments. And that's one of the things was, it was cool when I was finally able to fight at 155. And then as we grow, I was like, now can I go down to my weight class of 145, 135? Yeah, let's go. So, yeah, it was cool.
Oh, my gosh. I love that so very much. Way to keep us on our toes, too. He's like, oh, you're going to have to wait for the answer.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming.
It's full stop for me.
I can't mess around, but I'm afraid of this speech. But, if I nail it, I'm excited, but I don't know. I'm gonna get caught up in my feels. I don't know what's gonna happen yet.
It's like a fight.
He's not allowed to be. If he looks at me, I'm gonna lose it. So we'll have to see.
Just so you know, you're allowed to get caught up in your feels. This is such a special day for you.
It is, and I love this. Thank you.
This is gonna be a special day for you too. What is it like taking all this in?
It's kind of cool to follow what it's been like for him because he's able to easily express how he has felt during this entire journey. So now that he's finally lived up to what he really wants to be and he's accomplished such a great feat, it's pretty cool to follow that.
Yeah, because I think this is something, Jens, you can speak to this better than anybody. Fighting it's a team sport, but it's also one that your family has to get behind you because it's not just you versus an opponent. It's so many people that get you to be in the position where you get your hand raised. And tonight, man, this is the biggest hand raise of anyone's life.
It's like I said, it's insanity. I feel like I'm fighting the way that everything's worked out with the nerves and the build-up and everything like that. Yesterday was the weight cutting day, and then today, saying the hugs and the loves to everybody, and then I went off to come do this, and but this time I get to grab him and get to have him next to me and have him around me. But it's again, I always tell people, it's an individual sport. But it's not. See, the difference being on a team is you always try to stand out and be an individual. But in this sport, you're an individual trying to be on a team, and that team is my family. That team are those fans. That team is the sport, the riders, everybody. That's the team, and you're just trying to go out there and do your part. And the best way you can show them how much you love them and appreciate them is give it 100%, go, lay it on the line, throw down the best of your abilities, train as hard as you can, and you know what I mean. And that's what you got to do every time, and that's how you show them this is how much I love you. And so it is cool that we all get to, I want them to understand how important they are and how much this means to me and all of it. Everybody that I've ever worked with have been a part of. And that's one thing when I get in that speech, I don't want to say, I'm going to say one thank you, and I may not say a second, so I'm scared about that part. So I'm going to tell a different story tonight. But That's the one thing I want people to understand is I'm trying to be on that team, and that team is just massive, and it just keeps growing. The UFC team is amazing.
Well, on behalf of all the hardcores that were going to all the extreme challenges
I
in the
love you
Midwest
guys.
and
I love it.
Victory Fighting Championships, thank
For
you,
every
gents.
underground forum post and everything else, I love and appreciate y'all that replied. I love you, so thank you.
Thanks, gents. Appreciate it. Jens Pulver, kind enough to give us a few moments here.
Jens, will you please take a
on
picture
Extra
with
Rounds.
us before you go?
I mean, I'm definitely going to ask someone to take a photo of this whole
Will you
team
take a
right
photo
here.
for us?
Hopefully someone can do it. I'll stand here all day to get a photo.
That's right.
Mr. Jens Pulver. Man, Viper's helping us out here.
Big boy.
There we go.
That was good, huh?
Thank you so much.
There we go.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jens, will you take a picture with just TJ? Will you take a picture with just TJ and Jens real quick
They're
over
making me
here?
happy.
Jens?
Right here, Jens. Right here. One of the best to ever do it. Thanks, Jens. Appreciate it, sir. There he is, Little Evil Jens Pulver, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds. As time is flying by, Vanessa Demopoulos.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know how much time they're going to let us keep going here.
Forever.
I mean, I'd stay here forever. It's that big of a day. It's like, I mean, honestly, it's like my birthday. If MMA could give me a birthday, it's this.
Yes. I couldn't agree with you more. You know, just seeing all the stars that are walking the red carpet, and you know, the UFC has just grown into this massive, amazing, incredible machine that it is today. And it's like, I'm such a fan of the sport. I know that I'm a competitor of the sport. I know I'm one of the UFC superstars. But for me to be able to see people like Jens and to be able to hear his passion and just like can't even imagine what it was like back then for him to fight, and then to see what it is today, I'm so happy to be here. I don't want to leave.
The only way this day could get better for me is if I actually did get a piece of cake. You know, I like
what? We got to make that happen for you, my
Maybe,
God.
you know. I'm going to need it. 'Cause
we need to celebrate this moment for you.
We have a very long day coming up tomorrow at UFC X, and it extends into Saturday as well. I'm going to need all the rocket fuel I can get. You know, sugar helps in this situation. So I'm going to earn my energy drinks this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to need all of the energy that we can get because, again, tomorrow we have UFC X. Like, we have the expo is going to be going on all day long. Lots of podcasts. We're going to be broadcasting for you guys, meet and greets, signings, and then we have UFC 290 coming up Saturday, bright and early.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be at X and then back over here at T-Mobile for 290, and that's one sort of thing as our time is slowly coming to an end here inside T-Mobile at the red carpet. You know, I'm sort of finding the silver lining that if we don't get to talk to everybody today, there's going to be more opportunities tomorrow, and
Absolutely.
maybe even the day after that. So very exciting. If you are in the area, you have to come out to UFC X. Come hang out with us. It's at the Las Vegas Convention Center. Basically, every fighter that you love from the UFC will be there. And if they're not, Vanessa Demopoulos will be there. And what more do you need?
And I'm so excited to see everybody. So,
It's true.
yes, if you don't get anybody else, come find me. I'm going to be over at the UFC booth for Extra Rounds, as well as I will be doing meet and greets and signings as well for you guys.
So take me back to the early days of your mixed martial arts fandom. If there was a UFC X going on when you first found the UFC, who would you have sought out to try to, you know, shake their hand and take a photo?
To be honest, actually, Jose Aldo.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it's really amazing that he's the person getting inducted tonight, and I'm so excited to watch him be able to walk that stage. He's somebody that I didn't even know what fighting was when I first started. Fighting found me, and I remember watching people like Jose Aldo, and I was like, oh my goodness, like the level of violence that this man is bringing to the octagon, the level of passion, just knowing that he was from a small place in Brazil. Well, he's from a big city, but it's like, you know, he came out of the trenches. This man fought his way into the UFC octagon, became the WEC champion, became the UFC champion, was the best fighter in the world, in my opinion, at the time that he was competing. You know, and I mean, we're talking like, for me, I would see somebody like Jose Aldo and just be so excited every single time that he stepped in there. So, yes. Jose Aldo's the person who I got to look forward to when I first began martial arts.
Let's take a look at his bio because I think we need to drive that point home. 31-8, finishing rate of 58%, 17 knockouts to 1 submission. And normally I list the WEC or the UFC debut for Aldo. I had to list the WEC debut because he was a bona fide certified star before even getting into the UFC based on his credentials that he achieved in the WEC in the Blue Octagon. So, Jens too. Jens was another guy that, he fought in the UFC obviously before going to the WEC, but Jens is one of those rare individuals that fought in UFC, Pride, and the WEC.
And won championship?
He fought everywhere.
He fought everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, it's interesting when you look at, some of the guys that, help this sport grow. When you look at Jose Aldo, like maybe Jose Aldo doesn't necessarily get the opportunity to, fight at the highest of highs that he did without someone like Jens Pulver leading the way.
Yeah, and I mean, when you want to talk about amazing fighters and super exciting people, you have people who are up and coming right now in the UFC. You have people like Adrian Yanez, who's standing right in front of me, walking up right now.
Oh, my goodness.
This man is a knockout artist. I mean, you want to talk about the kiss of death. If there's
right
somebody that you don't want to get hit by, it's absolutely this man right here, Adrian Yanez.
It's the future mayor of Houston, I think. Adrian Yanez, kind enough to join us. Adrian, how are you?
I am loving living life, man. I'm happy to be here. I'm super excited. I almost just damn near cried seeing Jens. I was like, yes. I was like, oh yeah.
You and me both. Like Jens Pulver is one of my favorite fighters when I first got into MMA, and there were a lot of questions on whether or not he would make the UFC Hall of Fame cut, and to see it come to fruition tonight, I think anybody that is a fan of the lighter weight classes like yourself, you gotta show that respect to Jens Pulver.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. If it wasn't for people like Jens Pulver, we wouldn't have a job, man. And that led to so many other things. Being the first lightweight champ. That's absolutely nuts to me. And the fact that he gave me an opportunity last year to be a part of the Twitch stream stuff like that to me was amazing. I can't say nothing. I say nothing but good things about Jens, man. He's a phenomenal guy, and I absolutely love seeing him getting up there. He's finally getting his shine. I'm sorry. I'm a little emotional right now. I'm sorry, guys. I'm excited.
Adrian Yanez is lit up, and we've seen him lit up multiple times. Actually, he's the one lighting other people up every time he walks into the UFC octagon.
Although I saw a video of him getting lit up. Were you like a barbershop and you were watching your fights and you were talking smack about yourself and other people talk smack about you?
Yo, man, no, that was at Space City Collective. That's the place I get my shoes at, man. So, that was actually absolutely wild. That was fun. Yeah, no,
where do people see that video? YouTube? Or where
they can see it on my Instagram, TikTok, whatever they want to see it on.
It's very funny.
Hey, it's hilarious. That was the first time seeing an internet troll in real life, so that was pretty cool. They get scared, ears turn red, they get nervous, answer a fake call, and all that stuff. Hey, it is what it is.
But that's what I love too. Is you're not mixed martial artists are a little bit different. UFC fighters especially. You go out and interact with the people. I was saying this earlier. The number 3 hole hitter on the Yankees is not doing that stuff. They're not putting themselves in those types of situations, and I think that's what makes guys like yourself all that more special and relatable. People become fans of yourself because of things like that.
Yeah, I think so, man. It's also really cool that as much as you got the guys who in baseball get millions and millions of followers, so they don't really see it. Fighters, we're on the ground. We see the fans every day. We come out every event. You get a little fighter preview going on. Okay. You get a little fighter preview going on and all that stuff. So you get to meet the fighters all the time. We're easily accessible, and so sometimes you get a good, but very rarely you get a bad. But I'm kind of happy I was able to get that one little bad because I was able to put it on Instagram and TikTok. So that was.
But we don't talk about the bad because if you ever meet this guy in person, he's definitely one of the friendliest people you'll ever meet. Always very excited, always happy. Look at his smile; it's from ear to ear. So you can't help but be an Adrian Yanez fan. And if you're not, you'll have to answer the little monster.
Someone was asking me earlier to predict the next class of UFC Hall of Famers, and I don't think I have the good enough foresight to figure that out, but I have been beating the drum for a long time that I think Jens Pulver should be in, and now with Jens getting the nod, There's one guy out there that I hope gets that UFC nod into the Hall of Fame. It's someone you know well, the Thug Jiu-Jitsu master, Yves Edwards. To me,
yes.
Not a UFC champion, definitely should have been after his win over Josh Thompson. And anybody moving forward, ask me who should be in the UFC Hall of Fame that's not, my answer will be Yves Edwards.
Oh, 100%. 100% Yves Edwards should be in the UFC Hall of Fame. Yeah, man, I'm telling you right now, they still play the Josh Thompson knockout to this day. It's a knockout that's going to live forever. I don't think... Has anybody recreated that knockout?
Not quite like that. And you know what? Like, go to the archive too and look at Yves' fight with James Edson Berto, where he's propped up. Berto's looking for that single leg. He's on one leg, and with that leg that's planted, he hops up and knocks him out with a knee. It's amazing. Go check it out. That's the more impressive knockout, and that's not even the one that everyone knows. So
yeah, hey coach, I'm asking them to put you in the Hall of Fame. All right, guys, I'm asking y'all to put them in the Hall of Fame.
I think I am, but you can take the credit.
No, I'm just gonna be right here and take the credit for this guy.
There we go. Adrian, what's up next? You're gonna go out to UFC X tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe I should be there. I think I'm gonna be there.
You're gonna be everywhere.
Yeah, you know, everything's so highly energetic that I'm forgetting things. You know, my CTE is kind of kicking in, but yeah.
Well, you just gotta go out and experience it. Like we were talking about this earlier, you can't think. You can only react. It's kind of like a fight in that way. You just go out there and react. Have fun.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
here for it. Yes, sir. Let's go.
I think if anything's acting up, it's definitely a little bit of his ADD.
Yeah.
Because he is so excited. He can't wait to meet everybody, sign these autographs, take pictures with you guys. If you see him, come up to him, say, oh my gosh, it's Adrian Yanez, the same way that I did. And just maybe not with like as much force because he might react and punch you, and you don't want that. So.
Allegedly.
Right, allegedly. All right. Future Mayor of Houston, Adrian Yanez. Appreciate you coming out, sir.
Hey, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We got to take a picture.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you have to take with a smile like this. Gotta have pictures.
Thank you so much.
We're putting people to work over here, Adrian.
I know, right? Beautiful. Oh. Wow.
There we go.
Thank you.
Get Adrian out of here. Thank you,
Be
sir.
amazing. Have a great day.
Say hi to Yves. There he is, Adrian Yanez, kind enough to join us here on Extra Rounds. All right. 6:36 local time, top of the hour. UFC Hall of Fame ceremony exclusively on UFC Fight Pass. If you are not a member, sign up right now at UFCFightPass.com. Step into our world. If you need things to watch besides all the great content that we've been talking about all day long, Fight Pass Invitational, UFC X tomorrow, a whole block of programming on Friday and Saturday. Hit me up on Twitter, at TJ DeSantis. I'll tell you more about fights that you don't know about, like Yves Edwards and Edson Berto and Vanessa Demopoulos doing things, not only in the UFC's octagon, but on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mats as well. What is one of your favorite fights? Doesn't have to be one of your own, but any fight recommendation that you would want to tell people to dig in the archives over at Fight Pass and watch?
Any Justin Gaethje fight, who's actually going to be fighting for the BMF belt coming up here against another one of my favorite fighters, Dustin Poirier. And, I mean, these are two of the best fighters to ever be able to fight each other. Again, this is their third time, right? This is a trilogy?
Yeah.
Yeah! Yes, any single fight that I've ever seen Justin Gaethje in, I mean, it's just like a war. Like, a Gaethje fight, win or lose, is a fight that you just know.
Everybody wins.
Do not blink.
Everybody wins.
Don't blink.
Even if Gaethje doesn't win, it's a win. Because
it's a win for everybody.
You talk about, athletes writing their legacies. Like, man, yeah, I can't think of a really bad fight ever from Gaethje. He's always in contention for, fight of the night bonuses. Like, I feel like when Gaethje's on a card, Dana just writes it in pencil on the check. Pay the order of Justin Gaethje, because they might as well. I mean, it's already halfway there when he makes the walk.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. So if you guys ever go over to the Fight Pass archives and you want to go to the library and check some old fights out, absolutely. Justin Gaethje's the one. Dustin Poirier's another one. He's such a tactician. He's so strong. He's agile. He's such a good boxer. Very crispy. I mean, his footwork's incredible. Yes, absolutely people that you have to watch and look out for. And they get to fight each other again for the BMF belt coming up here very shortly. Is it UFC 292 that we get to see that?
No, I'm not good with numbers.
My math don't math all the time.
It's coming up.
It is coming up. It's coming up very shortly.
And when you never miss an event, it doesn't matter when it's coming up, because I'll just see it.
Yeah.
I'll just watch every single one.
Just don't miss any events, and you won't miss one of the best fights that ever happened in history, potentially.
I mean, honestly, I have to look only 1 week ahead. You know, I can't really look beyond that because I'll get distracted.
Wow, you're farther along than I am.
I'm like Adrian Yanez. You're just always excited for everything. So I'll get lost if I try to make too many plans.
We love an Adrian Yanez.
Yes, absolutely.
Drew Dober is also very excited all the time.
I just love
He's just
fighters
so
that are
wholesome.
fight fans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's important. It's important. I think that not everyone is as big of fight fans as the guys that we talked to today, but I feel like mixed martial artists are more involved in their sport as fans than other athletes are in traditional mainstream sports.
I would 100% agree with you on that, you know, because like to be a fighter, you literally have to love what you do because for so long, I mean, it's not like baseball or football where like you kind of get drafted after college. Like this is something that you really have to put your heart and soul into for so many years. Just on a maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's truly a lifestyle for the athletes that pursue this at the highest level. You know, you can't half-ass this sport by any means.
No, absolutely not. And that's not something that anybody that we've talked to tonight has done. In fact, every person that has been on this microphone tonight has gone above and beyond to not only be the best for themselves, but to be the best in the world.
Right, yeah. I mean, they're at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Like, you know, it's not Hall of Pretty Good.
Yeah. I mean, I see Misha Tate right there in front of us, looking beautiful as ever on this red carpet.
She'll be making that walk as a Hall of Famer herself one day.
Absolutely, she will. You know, previous bantamweight champion, walked away from the sport entirely, had a few kids, came back to the sport, is now chasing the belt again.
Right. Never say never. You know? Like,
wow.
That's the thing, too. We look at, you know, the journeys of athletes. Like, sometimes, you know, an exit and a departure from the sport can, you know, happen, and then you come back to it. And, you know, we've seen a lot of athletes have multiple runs where, think about this, we might not have even seen the best Misha Tate yet. It's possible.
No, I completely agree with you. And we have this man here coming up, Mr. Forrest Griffin.
MMA royalty joining us.
Whoop. Hello, hello.
Oh, hey.
Had to grab that one there for us.
Who helps so many athletes to reach their pinnacles right now and their own potentials.
How's it going?
Hey, I'm good. My makeup looks good. I like it.
I'm kind of here.
Good, yeah.
I don't want to sit in your lap, but you know what? They're just going to have to deal. Okay.
There we go.
How's it going for us?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thank you for asking. How you guys doing?
So far, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, International Fight Week is just jam-packed with so much. And
it is.
You know, it's on display here at the red carpet. And, you know, I hate to beat a dead horse, but you're a guy that was fighting long before the tough boom. I mean, you were in the middle of the Ultimate Fighter boom. Did you ever think a red carpet would be something that you would walk in life?
Of course I did.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, just because I'm so good looking and so fashionable, I figured I was like, why don't I walk more red carpets? Why don't I get asked more to do that? Yeah. So here we go. No, you know, to answer your question, I'm surprised the sport of MMA isn't more popular. Like, why are people silly? Well, what are they watching that they're not watching fighting? That's ridiculous.
Well, I think now the floodgates have opened that it should be. You know what I mean? If you know, you know. If you don't know, I don't know why you don't know yet. Right?
If you don't know, I have no mercy on you. Look, here's what I know. Kids in street fights are tapping out and armbarring people.
Seriously.
All right? I'm like,
isn't that awesome to watch?
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not. Okay,
when I started doing MMA in 1999, it was like a freaking superpower. Nobody knew anything, right? Now it's like some dork, you know, that looks like he's like your computer IT kid. Tear both your knees out in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, the dude doesn't even have cauliflower ear. How was I supposed to know he was like a legit badass? You know, come on.
Guys trying to get guard in their cafeteria.
I was like, this is crazy, right? I was like, what? Yeah, this is madness.
We were talking about how there are some people who are like legitimate computer nerds that are at the highest level here in the UFC. They could be out doing something else with their lives aside from punching each other in the face.
Nothing be more fun then. Yeah, because nothing's more fun. Nothing's more pure. There's no, hey, look, this is the original form of human competition.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the purest form. Yeah, absolutely. You know, we had some major news today. UFC Fight Pass Invitational has become a focal point for the Fight Pass team. It was just announced that George St. Pierre is going to be involved.
I've heard of him, yeah.
You know,
pretty good grappler.
What are your thoughts on GSP coming back? Because I think that's a huge statement.
So my question is, what are the matchups? Who's he grappling?
We don't know yet.
Who's he grappling?
We got to sit back. I mean, that's part of the fun of it. We'll sit back and not only who's he going to fight, but you know, under what rule set.
We should see, like, I mean, he picks the rule set. That's how he rolls.
Yeah.
But I think we should see what the fans want, and then obviously what he wants.
he actually said that he wants what the fans want. So he said he wanted submission grappling. He didn't say he wanted point systems. He didn't say that he wanted rounds. He said, I want a submission grappling. I want to go out there and go toe-to-toe, and I want to rip some things and see what the fans want.
Ouch.
Yes.
Were you going to get on the FPI mat ever?
What's that?
You're going to get out there on the FPI mat? No?
Nope. Missed my call. I missed it. I'm too. I haven't grappled since before COVID.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't do it.
You don't miss it?
Yeah, I miss it.
Oh, okay.
But I can't do it, and then I work all the time, and yeah.
I hear you. I mean, I'm not going to tell you need to train.
Do you grapple a lot?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I grapple with the idea of fitness.
Yeah. Hey, look, people are like, do you fight still? I'm like, I fight every day. Alcoholism, obesity, it's a fight. It's a fight. I'm in it.
Yeah. I mean, we're all in a battle. So
yeah, right.
What's your next battle here on Fight Week? You doing the UFC X?
After this, no, I'm not. After this, I'll go into the PI and see how the weigh-ins are going and see if I'm needed. And hopefully I won't be needed and I'll go home. But if there's complications arise, I'll hang out and make sure that people are getting what they want.
So you're always working.
She can attest to this.
Yeah, I absolutely
She actually doesn't leave either. So I'm like,
you can't kick me out of the gym.
I know, we can't.
Well, they actually had to kick me out yesterday because But I just love being there so much. And Forrest is somebody who's so pinnacle in a lot of our athlete successes. I mean, he's there to help us out, help us grow, and he's just, he's the man.
Yeah,
I mean, he was there before fighting is what it is today. So we get to ask him all the questions that we can. I ask a lot of questions.
That's good, yeah. And that's the idea is that everything works for you guys. Everything's tailor fit to make you better, not only in the octagon, but in your life after the octagon. So, yeah.
We appreciate
what do you think?
you.
You want in on some of that goodwill stuff?
Yeah.
Speaking of goodwill, I am giving the community award to the Nogueira brothers. How crazy is that?
Both of them.
I love that.
Yeah, I grew up watching those guys, and now they have a foundation. I'm giving them a community award. It's, man, I tell you, it's good days, man. Sometimes you got to sit back and realize how blessed you are.
Absolutely.
Seriously, sit back. You're doing amazing. I tell you what,
blessed.
you know how to tie the hell out of a tie. That is a beautiful tie. Look at
That
that
is
tie
a beautiful
now.
I got one job.
Whoa, that is
tie the tie, put on the headset.
I brought a tie. It looked like crap. I took it off. Said no tie for me.
I got you next time.
That's great. Yeah, next time I'm gonna come
I'll
over.
start
here.
doing instructionals.
Yeah,
do all sorts of knots.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Forrest, appreciate your
That's
time.
what people want to see.
Thanks
you
for
tie
coming
my
out.
tie.
I'll let you get
guys.
back to work.
I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, there he is. Forrest
Wait,
Griffin.
Forrest, don't leave before taking a picture
We're
with
gonna
us.
take photos.
I like photos.
Someone's gonna take a photo.
Someone take a photo for us. Boop, boop. Thanks.
The Sklars, they're hanging out. They did the nosebleeds on Fight Pass. This is charity right now. Forrest Griffin taking a photo with me.
Thank
There we go.
you.
Thanks, Forrest.
It's my favorite thing.
All right. Thank you, sir. Our time is slowly but surely coming to an end. And, man, this is like an appetizer for what we got going on.
Are
as
you
well as
kidding me?
weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we get off this broadcast, you guys get to watch the Hall of Fame. You're going to see some legends go up there, share their life stories, which is so incredible.
I'm so excited for that Jens Pulver speech.
Oh, my goodness. I want to hear Jens Pulver. I want to hear Anderson Silva. I want to hear Jose Aldo. I want to hear from the Nogueira brothers, too. I think that's so amazing. They're in front of us right now on the red carpet getting interviewed, and just knowing that, I mean, they too came from absolutely nothing. They came from a time of fighting when fighting was so primitive from the UFC's perspective of what it is today. Really grew the sport into the amazing sport that we all get to watch, and are now doing big things in the community for other people and giving back because they themselves got to be so privileged through something like fighting people.
But that's what it is, too. It is a community. I mean, yes, the community fights one another inside octagons and on mats and rings all over the world, but it is a community, and that's one thing that I will say more than anything. In my time in covering mixed martial arts as a job, I've been exposed to so many different people, so many different cultures, and it's truly exciting to sort of take it all in, and there's no better place to do just that than right here in Las Vegas. That's not the right button. I need to press that button. In Las Vegas for International Fight Week. Vanessa Demopoulos, thanks for hanging out at the red carpet. This was fun.
TJ, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing this with you.
Let's do it tomorrow.
Okay.
Maybe the day after that.
You got it.
And then soon again after that.
Yeah, same place, different time. different place,
Right.
same time.
Whatever she just said, I agree.
Yes.
So we'll see you at UFC X, and then, of course, UFC 290 for Vanessa Demopoulos and all of our guests that stopped by. I'm TJ DeSantis saying thank you for joining us. We will see you very, very soon for more from International Fight Week here in Las Vegas. It's Extra Rounds. So long.
To catch an encore presentation of this broadcast or to check out the archive, visit Podcast Central at UFCFightPass.com. Extra Rounds is a TJ DeSantis production. Its content is intended for private use only.